Crawford, Modica, and Holt, Chartered Attorneys at Law, here to help you overcome your legal obstacles. Our lawyers carry exceptional experience and work as a team with our fantastic support staff to provide practical solutions to your legal matters. Whether it be family law, criminal defense, land use and zoning, or complex litigation, probate litigation, business, and regulatory matters, the attorneys at Crawford, Modica, and Holt are here to serve you. Call us for all your legal needs at 352 432 8644.
Steve. Thanks for coming over, Steve, and visiting.
Who's that?
Okay, good evening. The date is December 15th, 2025, and the time is 6:04. I hereby call the workshop of the City Council of the City of Groveland to order. I'll turn it over to Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council.
Roll call?
Oh, roll call, workshop. Roll call.
Roll call.
Mayor Keith Keel,
Here.
Vice Mayor Barbara Gaines,
Here.
Councilmember Amy Jo Carroll,
Here.
Councilmember Michael J. Cox, Councilmember Stephen Shalkowski,
Here.
City Manager Michael Hine,
Here.
Sergeant at Arms Chief Sean Ramsey, City Attorney Anita Garassi Carver, and Deputy City Clerk Sierra Bender here.
Thank you, Sarah. Tim, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Good to see you all tonight. Tonight is the culmination of about a year's worth of work with our strategic planning committee. And I remember like it was yesterday when we had the swearing in last year, and the mayor and council had consensus to re-engage the strategic planning committee, bring them back for a 3-year review. And we've done just that. So I'm excited for some of our committee members are here present tonight, and you'll hear me speak a little bit. I'll try to be as quick as possible to give them the most of the time. But just a little bit of background for you. Here's a timeline. Back in June of 22, hard to believe, over 3 years ago now, the first strategic plan for the city was adopted by City Council. Again, that was after about 12 months or so of work with the committee. November 24, again, council requests the 3-year review. Bring the committee back. Let's take a look at what's working, what's not, what needs to be improved. January 25 was the first meeting. The committee came back. We had a kickoff meeting. They had a series of meetings between February and November, just earlier last month. We are here tonight in December with a workshop, and I just want to remind everybody at the dais that you're not making a decision tonight, you're not making a vote. The idea is for the committee to present their recommendations and findings to you for absorption, and then we'll come back as early as January 26th if council is ready to take some action and provide some direction. Just as a refresher, that original strategic plan adopted back in 22, the mission, vision, and values, those are unchanged. We'll have Christina Tremaine representing our chairman who couldn't make it tonight, Pastor Tony McCoy. She'll be delivering the core values. But the mission, the City of Groveland is an ecosystem intentionally connecting safety, service, and innovation to support a vibrant, welcoming community with natural charm. Vision, Groveland is a collection of towns, villages, and hamlets interweaving a diversity of people into an eco-agrarian landscape. And our core values, intentionality, connectivity, vitality, knowledge, and heart. There have been some accomplishments since the plan's adoption. This is just a summary of a few. There's been more. But the adoption of the joint planning agreement between the city and the county, that was the big thing that was called out in the original plan. And that's really the city's biggest mechanism for saving 50% of our utility service area, which is now also our joint planning area, as open space underneath conservation and agriculture. Groveland certification is an international dark sky community that was achieved. We were the first city within the state of Florida to achieve that. We've received some positive attention, both internal to the city and external about that. The launch of Groveland's Community Supported Agriculture, our CSA, led by our Dan Corsi in the Groveland Exchange, giving an opportunity for local farmers to sell their goods to our residents and giving more economic opportunity for our local farmers. That was a big thing from the first strategic plan. The launch of Cherry Lake Preparatory Academy at Cherry Lake Park, having a school within walkable distance to residential neighborhoods, co-located next to a park, and then also a fiscal impact analysis for new developments, which you should be seeing is part of some of the newer applications, one of which will be presented tonight, to give the city a better idea of how developments are impacting our budget, both near-term and long-term. So the strategic planning process, it's the point of this slide is to tell everybody it's not like you write a plan and you're done. You want to implement it, but you also want to kick the tires, see what's working, what's not, communicate the plan as you're implementing. We're constantly monitoring progress and then making revisions based on the needs of today. And that's really the call of the committee getting back together as part of this 3-year review and going through that process again. So it's cyclical. It's never really complete. 3 questions for those who aren't familiar with strategic planning, just kind of recenter us and focus on the simple picture here. It should answer, who are we? What do we want to do? And how are we going to achieve it? That's really what the strategic planning process is, big picture-wise. We went over this as part of our task with the committee, keeping them SMART goals within the plan, so specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And then it is my pleasure to introduce to you tonight who the strategic planning committee members were and are. Dr. Tony McCoy was our chair, and again, unfortunately, he is out, but Christina Tremaine is here representing on his behalf. Brett Jones, who is here, he was our vice chair of the committee. I'd ask Brett to stand up, but look at him. Multi-talented. Jamie Lowe, Andy Hansen, unfortunately, couldn't make it tonight. Bridget Bennett. Chloe Gentry, who's here, she'll be presenting on behalf of the Conservation Group. Jose Rubio can make it. Kim Jemison, unfortunately, something came up at the last minute, and she will not be joining us tonight. But Dr. Roland Nunes. So with that said, we're going to get into the recommendations, really the meat of the presentation tonight. I'll ask Dr. Roland Nunes to come up. He's going to present on the informed and engaged category. And just also as a refresher, the document that we sent out and we've shared with council for your review, the text is very specific. So if it's in black font, that means it's original from the original strategic plan, unchanged. Blue indicates if something is new from this 3-year review process, basically a recommendation to council for change. Green were highlighted priority items for this next fiscal year 26. So with that said, Mr. Dr. Roland Nunes, please.
Great, thank you so much. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here. So we are starting with the informed and engaged section, and for a very good reason. When this plan was developed, and now that we're in the 3-year review, the success of this plan is very much dependent on the buy-in from our community, because we are doing it for the community. It was developed from the community, and we need to make sure that it continues to have that in top of mind. So that's why informed and engaged is number 1 and first, because we want to make sure that our community is informed in what's going on, but more importantly, engaged in this process. So a lot of these objectives are based on that. So the goal statement is provide all Groveland community members with inclusive access to informational resources, connecting people to each other and the city's charming culture. So what you'll see in both the objectives that were formed 3 years ago and then the new ones that have been edited and revised this time, it pushes on that goal to keep everyone engaged in what's going on in a variety of different ways. The first objective you'll see says to promote the parks and the open spaces as inclusive central community gathering spaces that bring people together to share knowledge, information, experiences, cultures, and the community's biodiversity. And we've already seen that in a couple slides ago when you saw on the achievements. We saw that with the Cherry Lake Park and the charter school and the implementation of that and the promotion of the activities that go on there, as well as the activities that we've been seeing in the Lake David Park and several of the other spaces, to name a few, that have allowed us to promote what we have here, particularly regarding our parks and our open spaces. We've also had an objective to expand community access to high-speed broadband to enhance opportunity, innovation, and quality of life. That is ongoing. It is an ongoing process that's going on. It's probably not one of the most visible things, right? It's not as fun to say, oh, here's a new park, but these are necessary things that we need to do because, of course, people need access, especially in the more rural areas where they may not have the best internet opportunity. Especially with more and more of our communication being digital, we want to make sure that people have that equal access. We're looking at developing an intentional, multifaceted campaign and communication strategy to inform the community and create connection around the city's values. And we've already seen a lot of progress to that, although there's a long way to go to make sure that we are trying to get people through various different methods, not just the Facebook post, right? We want to use everything from print to digital to the sign that's outside, whatever we can to get people from all different angles. Create a leadership engagement program for students, residents, and business owners to learn and enhance how the community functions. Because only by showing our own community members what's going on in our community can they really grow an appreciation and become contributors in a lot of what we're proposing here tonight. So the next set are more of these are the ones that we both consider priorities and ones that we've revised after the 3-year review, finding that these will complement very well with some of the other goals and objectives that we have. So measuring success, you'll see later in the presentation that we have a metrics dashboard. Well, we need to use it, right? It's one thing to have a table with all these numbers, but if we're not doing anything with it, then we're just talking in circles. So we need to actually utilize the dashboard, and we need to update it annually, and we need to share internally and externally because we need to be accountable. We need to show accountability to the community that we are doing what we're saying we're going to do. Because if we're just talk, and we don't actually show anything, we're going to lose that buy-in. We're going to lose that trust. Then create a citywide service excellence program. And it has various sub-objectives there. To deliver service to our customers, which are residents in this case, with excellence, courtesy, and accountability by reducing friction and making interactions simple and transparent. We all know there's a lot of bureaucracy in every step of almost everything we want to do. And what can we do to help lower some of that bureaucracy and make things a little more simple for people? Training and supporting employees to problem solve, communicate clearly, take ownership of resolving requests. Recognize and reward outstanding performance amongst City of Groveland employees. How do we reward what we're seeing that is actually helping the community so that we continue to promote those types of behaviors? Deliver consistent, high-quality service across all departments. Foster a culture of continuous improvement and resident-focused service. Now, 6 and 7 go very well together because 7, and this is one that we had a lot of conversation about, and that is create a concierge position to assist both the public and the private sector to navigate and implement the strategic plan, the community development code, and the comprehensive plan. What this means is we need to have a way that we're essentially holding ourselves accountable to do what we say we were going to do, right? We have a strategic plan. We have a master plan. We have a community development code. We have all of these things that at times can work together and at times can conflict. We need to have someone that can be there to help navigate all of these different aspects to it and make sure that we're actually working together to push these priorities. Not something that, oh, we're going to do it, but, oh, we have this crisis we have to deal with. Let's push it to next month. Oh, here's something else that came back. Let's push it 6 months down the road. All of a sudden, another 3 years pass, and we haven't done anything. We need to have accountability, and one way to do it is to have someone on top of it, be able to navigate all of these different plans and strategies and goals to make sure that we're actually making some progress and reporting on that progress, but also being there for people to assist the public, right? That's what we're talking about. If we're saying that our goal is community livability, well, how are we going to make sure that people are actually gaining from that? So that's another goal that we have as far as all of that. And that ends the informed and engaged community part. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
Dr.
you, very
Nunes.
nice.
Next up is Chloe Gentry, representing for Preservation and Conservation.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us here and for the priority that you have given this strategic plan by inviting us to review it. So this second pillar is preservation and conservation, and if you look on the slide, it's mostly blue and green. There's not a lot of black. Now remember, black means that it's ongoing from the 3 years ago, and I think this is really makes a big statement that we've made a lot of progress in this pillar over the past 3 years. And I believe that's because this pillar, preservation and conservation, is so well aligned with our ethos and the culture of the city of natural charm that we were able to get really good momentum on the priorities that were set forth. And then, of course, the staff that was able to lead those initiatives, and our leaders in Timothy and Andrew that helped us get to those. So the goal is stated that we want to preserve and enhance our natural environment to connect people to nature, to bring vitality to Groveland, and to ensure shared stewardship of our lands. So there's a lot of purpose in this goal, and I'd like to bring out that it talks about both the quality of life and the way of life of our people, but it also talks about bringing vitality to Groveland, which to me is speaking to the business opportunity, the economic stimulus that preservation and conservation brings. So if we go down the list of our strategic objectives, the first one is a continuation of what was already in the plan. But there's a significant change because we've moved the historic preservation objective away from this pillar and into the community livability. So we're really focusing this pillar on the natural lands and conservation of natural environments. And so the historic conservation has moved into community livability. So it reads now as an objective to strategically rank and preserve natural and agricultural lands that should be prioritized for protection. So this is somewhat of a continuation of what we had 3 years ago. The second one is to collaborate with private partners, NGOs, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Lake County, water management districts, the Florida Wildlife Corridor Foundation, and other partners to acquire, preserve, and activate the Palatlakaha Conservation Corridor. So there's a lot in this statement. I think the first is that we're seeking to connect and partner with others, that we're not seeking to do this alone, that Groveland wants to go on this mission in partnership. And this makes a lot of sense to me when we're talking about conservation and preservation of natural lands, because it doesn't just affect the city of Groveland, it affects the region, the state, and really you could go to global matters. And then it also talks about the Palatlakaha Conservation Corridor, which is very much an area of focus for the city of Groveland. That is the blue way that goes through our city. And it really connects both sides of our city. And that blue way is important to the city of Groveland, but also of regional significance. This is the blue way that starts at Lake Louisa State Park, travels through Claremont, the chain of lakes of Claremont, and comes into the city of Groveland, and then eventually goes into the Harris chain, then goes into the St. John's, and then into the Atlantic Ocean. So this is a really important conservation corridor to Groveland because it's the center of our city, but it's also very important to the state of Florida. And so that's why this partnership with all these different entities is relevant and will help us acquire, preserve, and activate. The third objective is a continuation of what we had in the prior strategic plan, which is the joint planning agreement with Lake County. The original strategic plan had it under the goal number 2, and it said establish a joint planning agreement. Well, today we are really lucky to be able to say that now that it's established, we need to advance it. And so that continues to be a priority. Advance the joint planning agreement with Lake County to preserve natural and agricultural lands through comprehensive plan policy updates, a transfer of development rights programs, and the land rights acquisition. The fourth objective under here is to develop and enhance the city's landscape code to preserve our natural systems and green infrastructure, prioritizing sustainable practices, wetland preservation, and soil and water conservation. Again, this is a revision of one of the goals that was in the original plan. That was goal number 3. And really what this does is make it a little more specific to an actionable item that the city can work on, and that's the enhancement of the landscape code with those objectives of preserving the natural systems. The fifth is another one that we had on the original plan. We made really great progress, and that's on our dark sky ordinance. So originally, we said we wanted to achieve the designation. We have now achieved it, so now we want to enforce the dark sky lightning ordinance, maintain Groveland's International Dark Sky Community certification, and develop a park that's dedicated to that stargazing and the dark sky events. And then our final one is a new recommendation, and that's to conduct studies to consider a conservation impact fee and general obligation bond as an alternative funding sources for conservation land acquisition. So this is an acknowledgement that what City of Groveland is trying to do here to conserve land and preserve it takes funds, and so we want to look at, really dive into how we could better fund these types of programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe.
Thank you.
Next up is item 3, Eco-Agrarian Lifestyle, presented by Mr. Brett Jones.
Good evening, Brett Jones. It's hard to follow Dr. Nunez and Chloe Gentry, but I will. Did you like reading over all of them as well as the updates, or would you like me just to stick to the updates? All of them? All right. So eco-agrarian lifestyle, I'll read through it. This is to become a close-knit community in which all activities are thoughtfully integrated into existing ecosystems and to enhance healthy development and self-reliance and maintain a continued eco-agrarian way of life. So the first objective, and this is one that was updated, and it's been achieved, that's why there's a check mark, is scale community-supported agriculture, which was mentioned earlier through Mr. Corsi as the leader, programmed by growing membership, adding pickup sites, and partnering with new farms. And this objective has been met, and that's why it's updated. This relates to the eco-agrarian lifestyle. If those of you who recall when we initially came out with the strategic plan, it was to really identify and look at what made Groveland unique, and among other things, was that we had this both ecologically friendly, environmentally friendly, as well as agricultural and, in fact, agrarian lifestyle historically. And we wanted to maintain the remnants of that which still existed. So the CSA is an important milestone. What a CSA is, just to refresh your recollection, is community-supported agriculture means that the people who live here support and buy from farmers that also live here or near here. That's the simplest way to say it. It's pretty straightforward. Number 2, develop a waterways master plan to coincide with the Parks and Trails master plan. Amplify natural recreational opportunities like kayaking, boating, fishing, running, bicycling, equestrian, and gardening, as these are activities for residents and visitors to experience and connect with Groveland's waterways and nature corridors. This relates to what Chloe said a few moments ago about our outstanding Blue Way, and the Waterways Master Plan essentially would map that out. And it's more than mapping it out. Once you map it out, now you can publicize it. You can make it available to people that live here to say, like, this is what we really have. So when you go outside, don't forget, parks aren't only green, parks can be blue, so to speak, or wet, and get people out and enjoy them, whether it's through fishing or kayaking or swimming, et cetera. Number 3, revise the city's economic development and tourism strategies and incentives around eco-activities, lodging, recreation, and local agriculture. This is one of the original objectives, and it speaks for itself. But again, it's really acknowledging what Groveland already has and developing a tourism strategy around that. And remember, tourism is essentially marketing for your local government. Number 4 is develop a lodging strategy that coincides with eco-agrarian activities. We frequently have conversations about where do people stay when they come to Groveland? Well, they might rent an Airbnb or stay with a relative, but if they're staying in a hotel because the 27 hotels are either non-existent or in poor shape, they stay somewhere outside of Groveland. So in the conversation of developing a lodging strategy for Groveland, we realized that if we're adopting the eco-agrarian lifestyle, that we should embrace a lodging strategy that coincides it and doesn't make it difficult. So one example of that could be Airbnbs or lodges or places that go, resorts that have an eco-agrarian theme to them versus a water park theme or versus a medieval times theme, just to use an example. Number 5, this is a new one, implement a citywide pilot composting program. This is one, for those of you that are have to put up with me, you know that I talk about one of my hobbies, which is planting fruit trees. I'm a permaculturalist. We've talked at length about implementing a citywide pilot composting program, and luckily for us, there are some Central Florida cities that have done this successfully, some unsuccessfully. So we realized this is actually something that would be great for residents of Groveland if there was a citywide composting program, not only that you could put your organic scraps in and reduce your waste that needs to be picked up by the garbage man, but also a place where you can go and get compost for free to use in your own gardening and landscape. Number 6, hire city personnel to lead environmental and agricultural activities for the city, and that has happened on some levels already. Number 7, advocate for eco-agrarian amenities to be implemented in new developments as an alternative to conventional amenities such as golf course. And this is self-evident, but it's to say if you have a new neighborhood coming, say, well, hey, instead of putting a golf course or something mundane, a bunch of crepe myrtle trees, maybe you should put something like an olive grove or a permaculture forest or a garden or something like that. So it's to advocate for these things, just to wake up people that are doing projects to this option. Number 8 is finalize the agrarian zoning code update, which, Tim, was that read recently at a meeting that I was at?
We brought it to council. I think we're just ironing out a few details before we get the final reading approved.
So that's in the works. You've already seen
Very
a
close.
draft of that one. Number 9 is create an incentive toolbox for eco-farms, markets, and restaurants with eco-agrarian initiatives in alignment with the strategic plan. And what that essentially is to say is that folks that start a farm or maybe start a market or want to start a restaurant, they go into that because they're passionate about it and hopefully they have some skill in it. And if they don't, they're developing a skill in that. Well, why make them learn how to do Tim's job or my job or anybody else's job when they're focusing on their farm or the market or restaurant? So the concept of a toolbox is there are certain set things that they can just go in, and we've already made them for them, so they don't have to reinvent a wheel, or they don't have to learn a very difficult thing. It's already pre-made for them so that they can go ahead and get into business or get through some kind of city licensure or anything like that. So just something that's ready-made for those folks. Number 10 is expand opportunities for people to responsibly interact with Groveland's natural spaces through educational events and partnerships, encouraging people to engage with and appreciate these preserved environments. Again, this one is self-evident, but we have some great assets here in Groveland, so it's to get the word out. This is marketing, if you will, so our residents are aware of what we have. Number 11 is to develop an eco-agrarian tourism guide, including farm stays, Blue Way access points, farm-to-table experiences, and community markets. Imagine if you came to Groveland, you were passing through, or imagine some of your extended family came in to visit you for the holidays, and you all have day jobs or you have things you have to do, and you could give them a brochure. You could say, go to this page on the Groveland City website, and it had some eco-agrarian tourism elements for them to visit so they can have a pastime while they're here. So that's what that's about. All right, that's it. You got this one, or you want me to talk about this one?
Thank you, Mr. Up to you.
I will wing it. I'm more than happy to wing it. You know me.
I'll do it. In the
You do
interest
it.
of time, I'll present the next few slides, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Unfortunately, again, Kim and Andy could not make it tonight. We do have a statement from Kim. It's quite lengthy. Sierra could read that in at the end if we have some time, but we'll make sure it's included in the minutes for the meeting just to make sure that is captured. So community livability, again, the goal statement is unchanged. Create a community that invites innovation, enhances vitality, provides access to shared resources, and offers diverse choices and opportunities so people can become their best selves. Objectives, plan, design, and construct a downtown Lake David project that embodies all strategic plan core values, serves as a destination. Components may include a compelling lodging experience, a walkable Main Street, a trail circling Lake David, a nature preserve, farm-to-table restaurants, a market, new civic venues, live-work homes, outdoor activities, dark sky lighting, sustainable landscaping, and public parking. A lot to unpack in that objective. I remember when it was written as part of the original plan, I anticipated that that might be tweaked as part of the 3-year review after reviewing it. Also with Nancy Aiken, who I wanted to recognize as our facilitator for a lot of our meetings, that objective is still unchanged, and it is in black for that reason. Also related to that is a new objective, which is developing a downtown capital improvement plan for stormwater, utilities, streets, and parks. This is very similar to the conversation we've been having at recent CRA meetings focused on whether we call it the Downtown Public Realm Plan or Realignment Ready Plan. It's all infrastructure-based. But assessing the capacity and condition of existing utility infrastructure, identify and prioritize needed improvements to water, sewer, electric, and stormwater systems, preserving Groveland's historic character through Brick Street restoration, historic markers and plaques, integrating, connecting, and enhancing public assets such as Lake David Festival Park, the historic train depot, Jimmy Thomas Memorial, and other civic-owned properties. Also delegating prioritization of downtown capital improvements to the CRA Advisory Board, which is continuing discussions at the CRA board meetings, as you're familiar with. The next 3 are unchanged, mostly related to implementing the Parks and Trails Master Plan, also implementing our transportation and trail improvements and partnerships through FDOT, the county. There's quite a bit on just that category alone when you think about the magnitude of investment that will be needed, not only just from the city, but the county and the state on transportation. That's a big item that we hear a lot about here in Groveland. Number 5 is a very unique one, planning for a health village that serves Groveland residents and others in the region. A health village is a multi-use environment that integrates healthcare with retail, commercial, education, residential, and wellness services. Health villages not only provide healthcare services to treat those who are sick, but also offer resources and services for people to continue staying healthy and well. If Kim was here, she would probably let you know this is probably her most critical item in this category, and she would love to see this in or near downtown as an anchor for the downtown. Prioritize, phase, implement the projects in the utility master plan. That's unchanged. Work with developers and builders to meet the growing need for more diverse and affordable housing options. That is unchanged from the original plan. The next 2 are new. 8 is to enhance Groveland's historic character. The CRA board will review opportunities for non-monetary incentives and support for those employing authentic, artisanal, craftsman, or traditional design in building methods and techniques, including but not limited to structural masonry and traditional timber framing. A lot to unpack there. 9, the incentivize infill projects by giving priority staff assistance and favorable timelines and procedures on those projects. That is a new recommendation. The next 2 are prioritized for this year. Identify and prioritize historic preservation assets that align with the strategic plan. Partner with Groveland's Historical Society and delegate to the CRA Advisory Board. 11, supporting the well-being and security of the community. Public safety encompasses protection from various threats like crime, accidents, health, and fire emergencies, as well as natural disasters. The Groveland Fire and Police Departments will continue to work towards upholding best practices, regional and national standards, accreditations, ratings, and other benchmarks regarding levels of service, equipment, and technology, training, and community outreach programs. A lot of support for public safety throughout the community and, of course, from our committee. The 12, there's a check mark here. I would like to say it's a start, but it's not a finish. Partnering with local schools to plan, design, and build the schools that are consistent with the city vision, including neighborhood schools integrated in walkable neighborhoods with shared facilities such as parks. Start with a prototypical modern schoolhouse. That was moved from the informed and engaged community. The committee felt like education and school made a lot more sense under community livability, but it was a difficult decision for them. Financial health, I think by the law of the numbers, we also have Mr. Jones presenting that category for you. And then I'll wrap, then you'll hear from Christina Tremaine on the core values.
I won't be long-winded. Financial health, goal statement, achieve financial health while prioritizing the needs of today without sacrificing the ability to meet the needs of the future generations. What we know about this, and this applies to all the different sections here, but it's just us. I mean, there's nobody coming to save us, so we need to make choices that are appropriate for today, but also for tomorrow. So that's the underlying ethic in these objectives. Number one is to align the city's budget with the strategic plan to support achievement of the goals and vision. Number two is to develop a debt management program incorporating those attributes of Strong Towns principles that are aligned with the city's strategic plan and priorities. Strong Towns finance principles state that having more assets than liabilities, in addition to the capably paying off debt, is a prerequisite for a city's long-term prosperity. A strong town must evaluate the long-term and short-term cost to maintain the success of proposed projects. So that's about thinking long-term with respect to projects, not related to the financial element that Tim spoke about earlier. Number three, create a standardized fiscal analysis that measures projects' fiscal impacts, equipping city council and leadership to make informed decisions when establishing the annual city budgets. Number four, maintain fiscally responsible tax rates by diversifying the tax base. As we all know, commercial nets money and or surpluses money and residential deficits money. Achieving a healthy balance between land uses, incentivizing development with consistent with our vision, and applying user assessments to better address specific services such as stormwater, transportation, conservation, and public safety. Number five, recognizing that Groveland is a safe place, continue to financially prioritize the core services and public safety. Number six, to ensure long-term financial solvency, which simply means more assets and liabilities as well as the ability to pay our debts, the city will adopt the Strong Towns Finance Decoder tool to analyze all business choices, calculating both immediate short-term costs and generational maintenance/replacement costs. That's an actual tool that's free for us to use, and we use our financial data from our finance department to put it in there to give a simplified and straightforward tool and mechanism for you to see things in a less municipal finance way and a more personal budgeting way or a gap finance way, which maybe you're more familiar with. Number seven, evaluate and consider a general obligation bond to invest in strategic infrastructure, stormwater, public utilities, and parks.
Next category under implementation, we don't have anyone else to read this, so by default you have me for that one. But these are unchanged. I could read them very quickly before Christina comes up with the core values. The objectives: create an implementation team responsible for overseeing strategic plan implementation and progress monitoring and accompanying implementation plan that aligns strategic objectives with the city's budget. Establish a long-term financial plan that ensures financial resiliency while ensuring operational and capital funding needs are adequately met. Creating a vibrant downtown hub open to residents and visitors. Establish benchmark communities through case studies and field research. Collaborate with our community members, business sector, municipalities, school board, and regional partners on areas of common interest. Present an annual report and State of the City address that reviews the progress of the previous year's actions and identifies the priorities for the coming year. And here are some performance metrics, probably tough for the public to read from their perspective, but I'll read some of them for you just to The goal was, we had a list of probably 35 to 40 potential metrics in the original plan, and we tried to distill that to say, I was asking for the top 10. I think we landed on closer to 15. But we have a new one that would be based on the customer satisfaction survey. So what is the score around that survey? And also how many responses that survey receives. And that would be under the informed and engaged community category. The next three are from conservation and preservation. The first being percentage of city's utility service area dedicated as agriculture or conservation by way of our future land use. We are close to that 50% mark, but we also want to sustain that long term. Lake David, Lake Clarity, also under conservation and preservation. There was some discussion on relating this to all the lakes within the city, and that's for consideration. Number of city-owned and leased fixtures installed or replaced to meet dark sky standards. Acreage of food-producing farms. This was a new one at the most recent strategic plan committee meeting. Community-supported agricultural annual revenue and membership. Both of those are related to the eco-agrarian lifestyle. The next five are all related to community livability. Percentage of homes within a 10-minute walking distance of a park. Percentage of homes within a 10-minute walking distance of a school. Moving to downtown, total linear feet of streetscape and utility improvements. The fire department's ISO classification score, that is getting moving in a good direction, one being the best. We're going from a 3 to a 2. Police average response times to priority calls is also trending in a good direction. And then to round it out under financial health, as of now, it's the citywide annual budget, just stating what that budget is for each year, and then also looking at the general fund's contribution to the total budget. So I anticipate, I'm very eager for feedback from the council. Eventually, as you have some time to comb through these critical metrics, it's going to help staff, help council, help the city just in general get an understanding of how we're trending toward our goals. And this, once we get feedback from council and direction, this will be placed on the city website so that people and the public could actually follow along and monitor progress. That said, Christina, can you take us home with core values?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, Mr. City Manager, and Ms. Anita, Sierra, and of course, Mr. Maslow. It's always a pleasure of being able to be here in the same room with all of you. And tonight I have the honor of reading Dr. McCoy's, our chairman's remarks, who unfortunately wasn't able to be here with us this evening. But in addition to that, it's also an honor for me personally to stand here because it's like a full circle moment. I had the opportunity and the honor as a staff member once to see the inception of the Strategic Planning Committee, and then now to switch that hat as a citizen to be able to sit in each meeting and just gleam and see the creativity of each person on the board has really been such a treat. So, remarks from the chairman, he writes, "Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Mayor, and members of the council and City Manager. This evening, you've heard our committee present an overview of the priorities and directions outlined in our strategic plan, one shaped by thoughtful discussion, careful listening, and a shared commitment to the future of this city. I want to begin by thanking my colleagues for their dedication, hard work, and willingness to bring both their knowledge and heart to this process. Their insight, experience, and passion were essential in ensuring that this plan was not only informed, but deeply grounded in care for our community. 3 years ago, our city manager, Mike Hine, challenged us to use our individual gifts and experiences to develop a strategic plan that will serve as a blueprint to help guide our charming city. Mr. Hine challenged us to envision what we thought this city could look like when it grows up. With that directive in mind, and led by our then chair, Keith Keogh, we established 5 core values to help guide our work: intentionality, vitality, connectivity, knowledge, and heart. These values became the lens through which every discussion, every recommendation, and every priority was examined. Throughout this journey, each of you has had the opportunity to review these values, and in 2025, we made amendments and identified priorities that we felt were necessary to keep us focused as we move into 2026. These adjustments that you saw on the screen and in your work packets reflect our commitment to being intentional in our decisions while remaining responsive to the evolving needs of a growing and thriving city. It is our belief that when we lead with intentionality, foster vitality, strengthen connectivity, and balance knowledge with heart, we create a rhythm that will sustain a city full of life, opportunity, and promise. My colleagues and I would like to thank each of you on the council and those who served before you for your passion in shaping a city that values inclusion, safety, and thoughtful growth. Your leadership helps to ensure that Groveland remains connected to its citizens, grounded in knowledge, and guided by a heart of service. The future of Groveland we envision will only exist if we remain consistent, focused, and willing to move forward together, connected by a shared purpose and energized by the vitality of this community. A special thank you as well to Mr. Maslow, Ms. Nancy, our Vice Chair Brett Jones, and the entire staff who took the time to thoughtfully and thoroughly brief us on each specific area of focus. Their professionalism, the staff's professionalism, and their knowledge helped strengthen both the plan and our process. We believe that the heart of the city is very much alive, and like any muscle in the body, if we desire to see it grow and become self-sustaining, it must be exercised with intentionality and care. It is not only our hope to see our city continue to prosper and mature, but it's our honor and calling to offer our continued support during this entire process and offer our insight and service. In closing, we hope that what we shared tonight has stirred an excitement in your hearts from the vision that we worked so hard to present and ideas that we shared. And in order for the city to grow into all it's destined to be, it will require daily commitment from all of us, along with intentional actions, informed leadership, and hearts devoted to building something of lasting value. I leave you with this final thought. The Bible tells us that a wise group leaves an inheritance for their children's children. In other words, a wise group is a group that has a heart to build legacy that will sustain and outlive us all. Let's embrace that heart and be wise. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to serve as chairman with such an outstanding group of individuals. Leading in hope and happy to serve, Chairman Dr. Tony McCoy. Thank you.
Well, that was very exciting. I would expect nothing less from this group. That's what came through. It was absolutely incredible. We only have 9 minutes to ask questions. We only have 9 minutes to ask questions. And I think that what we'll do is probably want to get back either in writing or with you because there's a lot of, I'm sure, questions, fill in the blank kind of stuff that I know you have the answers to, but just to settle things down. But I think each council member probably needs to express their excitement over this strategic plan and where we're going. So I'll start with you, Mr. Jaycox.
One thing I think you should look into is when you had lodging, you should add camping. If we're trying to, do everything, outdoors, farms, everything related, you got to add camping to that. One thing you need to explain to us is how SB 180 might affect this. And then in the metrics, you had to pay off debt. I'm looking at the numbers, and you showed $60 million in an annual increase of the total overall budget. So you didn't sit there and you said pay off debt. That was very important. But you didn't show how you were going to do it or what mechanism you're going to use.
Thank you. Mr. Sikowski.
No, I just appreciate the time and effort that went into this and speaking with some of the members of the board. Under informed and engaged, I really appreciated number 6. It is hard, though, to do and to keep track of, especially when we outsource and we need to outsource. It may be that we look apples to apples and doing it in-house may be more, but it aligns more with what our strategic plan says of how we can make sure that we're providing great customer service to our constituents. Under 3, eco-agrarian lifestyle, number 1, the CSA. Just wondering, and this doesn't have to be now, what the city's role is, to be able to track and see if orders are increasing or we're increasing the number of farms. Where does our role stop as the city, and then where does that private partnership, and then how do we track that if that is in our strategic plan?
Thank you. Maybe Joe?
All right, a couple things. So thank you to the whole committee. Really appreciate you guys and your time. I have a couple of questions. Some of them Stephen hit, so I'm going to try to skip. Under eco-agrarian, it talks about hiring city personnel to focus on conservation. I thought that was Andrew Landis. Okay, just making sure. And then there was one more I wanted to point out. Oh, I appreciate the focus on the Blue Way, obviously. That's, the water is super important. And I think, I also had the other concern was the community market recently closing, and where are we with that? So just some things for us to talk about soon. Thank you.
Well, I too want to thank the committee for the work that they have put into this. It's clear that a lot of work has been put into this, a lot of effort to help meet the needs of the community. But there's always opportunity for improvement. And one of my areas that I focused in on tonight was the performance metrics. I know that this may not be the end all, but just saying, they appear to be vague, ambiguous. So if you have a problem, bring a solution. So I will give my thoughts on the performance metrics. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, outstanding job, outstanding job. There's just a couple things that I'll touch on at the top. When we did preservation and conservation, I think that a lot of the dialogue too was around preserving the culture of that we have here in Groveland and not growing past our culture. Moving it over, it sounds like more historic, and so that preservation meant more than just historic, and maybe needs to be addressed wherever you're moving that to. But I think the whole strategic plan fits into preserving our culture, but I think we just have to say it. And then under knowledge, which is one of our basic things, I really like to see us talk about how we educate the public. So when they do the native landscapes, when they do, and not only the public, commercial seems to be having some issues, how they keep it going so they're not investing a lot of money and then it's dying off, either here, downtown, or whatever. I think we've got a lot of energy around doing it, but I don't think there's a lot of knowledge. So if we could come up with some way, some guide that can help them preserve that. And then lastly, one of the major features or reasons for bringing this back up was public safety. I think you have a very nice general comment, but if you go back and if the committee could go back and just apply public safety to connectivity, public safety to vitality, public safety to intentionality, public safety to those core values, and what that means in the next 10 years. I know that there's a lot of talk on non-pursuit vehicles being electric. There's drone things. There's all kinds of stuff in the fire area. It's just amazing what's out there. And I think that we need to identify how we make sure the public safety, which is one of our core values, is ready and being financed, because at the end of the day, that's probably going to get the dollars first, and then the rest of this is going to have to come in the priorities. So I would really stress to get this brain trust back together and figure out how to make sure that we've defined that public safety so we're not pulling from here and then going back and pulling it back. Okay, with that, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys. I mean, I go to a lot of cities, talk to a lot of mayors, and nobody has something like this. It is absolutely amazing what you all do. And thank you, and we're adjourned. Okay, good evening. The date is December 15th, 2025, and the time is 7:08. I hereby call to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Groveland. We'll do the pledge of the flag, led by Vice Mayor Gaines, and then remain standing for Pastor Ben Britton of Bay Lake Missionary Baptist Church to do the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Let's bow. Dear Lord, as I come to you tonight, Lord, I just thank you for the opportunities that we have, Lord, to serve you as a city. Lord, I pray that you be with our first responders, Lord, as the men and women that go out before us in Groveland, Lord, to take care of things, Lord, to represent us out on the streets, to just bring civilization and things just your honor and glory, Lord, and we lift you up for that. Lord, tonight I pray for the city council. As they sit here tonight, Lord, as they look into the future for Groveland, I pray, Lord, that they look to the future to honor and glorify you. I pray for each citizen that is here tonight, Lord, that's represented here tonight, that sits in the seats, Lord, that has come to be a part of this meeting. And Lord, I pray that everything we do, we uplift you. Lord, thank you for this season that we have right now. Lord, the season that we celebrate your birth, Lord, as what you stand for, a Savior that has come for our salvation. And Lord, I thank you most of all for being a God of choice. Lord, that each and every one has a choice to make, to serve you or not. And Lord, it's okay. Thank you for being that way. Lord, I love you and I thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Sarah, would you please take the roll?
Yes, sir. Mayor Keith Keough.
Here.
Vice Mayor Barbara Gaines.
Here.
Councilmember Amy Jo Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Michael J. Cox.
Here.
Councilmember Stephen Shalkowski.
Here.
City Manager Michael Hine.
Here.
Sergeant at Arms Chief Sean Ramsey. Deputy City Attorney Anita Garassi Carver. And Deputy City Clerk Sierra Bender here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. We have some guest presentation speakers tonight. Let me first ask Dr. Nunez to come up, who has something to let us all know about.
Sure. Thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Roland Nunez, President of the Hispanics of Lake County Association. We, as part of the HOLCA, as we call ourselves, we've been active now for about 3 years in Lake County, providing opportunities for the community. We are starting a new series this coming year in 2026 called the Adelante Learning Series, with Adelante means to go forward. The idea is to provide community development workshops in a variety of topics that the community has told us that they need assistance with. Originally, our goal was to start this series in January and offer them monthly throughout the county. However, with the news that we learned about the Kroger layoffs, we decided to pivot and we decided to start a month early. Since we know there's going to be a lot of support needed for employment, we decided to launch our first workshop this month, and it's actually going to be here in Groveland at the Lake David Center tomorrow, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., we're going to be offering an employment workshop and just all of the basics, just resume review, interviewing skills, and how to turn your skills into opportunities as you go and apply for jobs in the current market. The opportunity is available to anyone and everyone, regardless of background. We will be offering the support in both English and in Spanish so that we can be as inclusive as possible to our community. So we encourage you to promote this all. We're going to be doing it, like I said, tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. at the Lake David Center. This is in collaboration between Holka and Lake Tech, who will be providing this information for our community. We're hoping that we can do our part to help with the employment, the employment that's going to be needed in the coming months. So thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for doing that. We appreciate it. Also, let me just follow that up to remind everybody, tomorrow we have the menorah lighting ceremony out front here at 5:30, so please feel free to attend. We'll go on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything to pull from the consent agenda?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I believe that the attorney wanted to make an announcement about some items that will not be heard this evening.
So we'll ask the city attorney to please inform us of that.
Yes, the Palisades items that are on tonight's agenda, which include Ordinance 2025-11, Ordinance 2025-12, and Resolution 2025-37 will be removed from the agenda until brought back at a future date. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other items to be removed? I'd like to ask for item October 6th, City Council minutes, that's A, under the under our consent agenda to be removed and discussed. Any public comment on anything to be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, let's go ahead and have a motion to accept the consent agenda without A, which is October 6th minutes. Is that correct, Madam Attorney?
The October 6, 2025 City Council meeting minutes are removed.
Okay. Can we have a motion to accept?
And so you have to read it first.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
October 20th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. October 27, 2025 City Council special meeting minutes. November 17th City Council meeting minutes. Approval of the city's 2026 annual calendar for council meetings, workshops, budget hearings, CRA meetings, and holidays. Resolution 2025-81, approving Amendment Number 2 to extend FDEP SRF loan agreement SW 350630 for facilities plan for stormwater and capital projects. Ordinance 2025-36, fiscal year 2025-2026, Community Redevelopment, Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA Roll Forward Budget Amendment, second reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, pursuant to Section 5.03 of the City Charter, amending the budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year to include carry forward budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 and reflect increases in expenditures in the 2025-2026 fiscal year in the Community Redevelopment Agency Fund after the original budget was approved, providing for Scrivener's errors, conflicts, severability, and providing for an effective date. Ordinance 2025-29, Gadsden Street annexation, second reading. An ordinance extending and increasing the corporate limits of the City of Groveland, County of Lake, State of Florida, pursuant to the voluntary annexation provisions of Section 171.044, Florida Statutes 2025, annexing 1.90 plus minus acres of real property not embraced within the present limits of the City of Groveland, providing for findings, providing a legal description and a map, directing the city manager to record certified copies of this ordinance after approval with the clerk of the circuit court, the county manager of Lake County, and the secretary of the state of Florida, providing for conflicts and severability, providing providing for scrivener's errors, setting an effective date. Ordinance 2025-30, Gadsden Street Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment, second reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Lake County, Florida, amending the City of Groveland's Comprehensive Plan pursuant to 163.31871 Florida statutes by amending the future land use plan designation from Lake County Urban Low to City of Groveland Employment Center of the future land use map for the herein described properties consisting of 1.9 plus or minus acres, authorizing the city manager to amend said comprehensive plan, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability and scrivener's errors, and providing for the forwarding of this ordinance to the state of Florida Department of Commerce after adoption, providing for an effective date. Ordinance 2025-31, Gadsden Street rezoning, second reading, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, to change the zoning from Lake County Agriculture to City of Groveland Light Industrial for the herein described property owned by Gain and Payne Properties, LLC, and located at 14113 Gadsden Street, Groveland, Florida, lying west of Gadsden Street, east of State Road 33, north of Anderson Road, and south of Parkwood Street, directing the city manager to amend the zoning map as herein provided. After the passage of this ordinance, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. Ordinance 2025-32, MBSI Headquarters Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment, second reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Lake County, Florida, amending the City of Groveland's comprehensive plan pursuant to 163.31871 Florida statutes by amending the future land use designation from City of Groveland Established Neighborhood to City of Groveland Employment Center on the future land use map for the herein described properties consisting of 5.0 plus minus acres, authorizing the city manager to amend said comprehensive plan, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability and scrivener's errors, providing for forwarding of this ordinance to the state of Florida Department of Commerce after adoption, providing for an effective date. Ordinance 2025-33, MBSI Headquarters Rezoning, second reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, to change the zoning from the herein described property owned by Modular Building Systems International, LLC, located on Independence Boulevard, Groveland, Florida, lying south of Constitution Way and US Highway 27, north of American Way, east of Independence Boulevard, and west of State Road 19, directing the city manager to amend the zoning map as herein provided after the passage of this ordinance, providing for severability, repealing all ordinance in conflict herewith, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Well done. Can we have a motion to accept?
A motion to accept items B through L as so representative.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none?
Councilmember Jay Cox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Shalkowski.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines.
Aye.
And Mayor Keo.
Aye. Moving on to old business. I think we need to go ahead and take a look at the item A, which is the minutes from October 6th. I'm asking that to be, to have an amendment to it, amending that, those minutes so we can then vote on it. The report that was put in there by Ms. Fike was handed to the clerk and not presented for discussion. And the meeting was not, so the meeting, it shouldn't be included in the minutes. We go ahead and move that to public record and make that available for inspection for anybody that cares to look at it. But since it was not discussed, it should be removed as part of the minutes. Any discussion on that? Can I have a motion to amend those minutes?
I motion to amend the October 6, 2025 City Council meeting, it says 2026 on here too, so just in case. Anyway, typo messed me up. Anyway, to amend the October 6th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes to remove that.
Thank you.
Second.
Do we have a second? Further discussion?
Second.
We have a second already. Would you like to third? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's go ahead and take the vote.
All right, Councilmember Carroll, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaycox?
Aye.
Councilmember Shalkowski?
Aye.
And Mayor Keough.
Aye. So passed. Moving on to old business. We have consideration of approval, ordinance 2025-11. We've taken that off, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, respectfully would ask that you consider deviating from the agenda, since I know we have some volunteers.
Thank you so much. Sure. We're going to ask if we can go ahead and change up the schedule and take a new business item and put it up above the old business, and that would be the RAC item, which is item 9 on your new business, the RAC committee. And we'll go ahead and ask you, Mr.
Sure, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening. It's that time to appoint vacancies that occur on the RAC as the terms expire and there are transitions on the dais. And thank you for your indulgence to move this forward, because I know how you like to foster and encourage engagement and volunteers. Your new process, as you'll recall, just requires the letter of interest and the resume. I believe there are 4 appointments up. The District 2 representative directly appoints, the District 4 directly appoints, and then there's a community member at large and then a non-resident at large. So you have the 2 new council members get to announce their appointments this evening, and then you have the, again, non-resident and resident at large positions. And I know there are a couple of the applicants in the audience should you have any questions.
Names?
For District 2, we have Henry Dean and Kelly Miles. District 2 or resident at large for both of them. And then we have, for District 4, we have Charles Kenzig. And then we have Linda Cowles. And then our last one, and that's non-resident. And then our last applicant is Brian Morgan, non-resident.
Okay, let's start with the, and ask who is here that would like to speak with the first name was, Steve?
Do we have, let's see, we can do the District 2 applicants first. Do we have Kelly here?
Please come forward, Kelly.
Hi, good evening. Do you have questions, or would you like me to introduce myself?
Introduce yourself, please. We'd love to meet you.
Well, I am Kelly Miles. Thank you so much for inviting me here this evening. I have an extensive career in healthcare, and what that has taught me is that parks and recreation is not a luxury. It is absolutely necessary. It is preventative care for our community with a direct impact on physical health, mental wellness, and social connections. What I bring to the table is extensive knowledge in profit and loss, planning, budgeting, speaking to community stakeholders like yourself, and the ability to determine effectiveness of programs. So I hope to be welcome in 2026, and if you have any questions, I look forward to those as well.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Any questions from the, okay, thank you.
Then we had Henry Dean.
Hold it, excuse me.
I had a question.
Please. Okay. Kelly, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the softness of this voice next to me saying she had a question.
Kelly, what in the past have you done in terms of recreation and the community as far as the quality of life for citizens of a community?
It's a good question. So I am a new resident to Groveland. We just moved here in July. I am also the mother of 7 children. And it's prompted me to be involved with the Recreation Committee. In the past, I volunteered extensively with the Boys and Girls Club, but it's county-based, where we previously lived, and I just saw the tremendous impact that's necessary. One of the reasons that prompted me to apply was when we moved here, we don't have any childcare programs like that through the county, through the city. And so it's difficult for me in my position to find summer and holiday childcare that is close to home, that is beneficial for all of the residents. So I'm hoping to be able to advise on that and bring that to the table as well, a little personal history of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Next.
Good evening, council, mayor, constituents, Mr. Hine, city staff. My name is Henry Dean. I'm a current resident of 117 Juneau Drive, Groveland, Florida, 34736. I come tonight wanting to be a part of the Recreation Advisory Committee because I've served years of experience with city and government, and also I'm a military guy. I have over 18 and a half years of working with the city of West Palm Beach, where during my tenure, I served in all aspects of the recreation department, from parks maintenance, as well as dealing with constituents regarding the cutting of trees and counting and budgeting as well. I've been a resident here for a few years. I enjoy the city. I've helped with several events here at the Second Friday, as well as giving out candy and/or school supplies for the school drive. I work direct in contact with Stephen all the time, with seeing what needs to be met there. And if me and my wife can assist, we're always willing to give a helping hand wherever we can.
Thank you for that. Thanks for the help. Do we have any questions?
Yes.
Into the mic, please.
Mr. Dean, what do you see as the biggest challenges in the city of Groveland's parks and recreation programs, and how would you approach and/or address them?
Well, Councilwoman Gaines, it has to be a collective group effort. There has to be consistent buy-in from the directors, city staff, as well as a group effort from the RAC committee, making those recommendations, whether it's programming needs, whether it's facility needs, as far as the recreation aspect of basketball courts or things that the kids can participate in, and or just diving in and taking a consensus and asking the residents themselves what would they like to see come to the city of Groveland as far as the recreation department is concerned.
But have you yourself identified any challenges or opportunities for improvement that you would like to pick up and take to the RAC committee? The RAC.
Yes, definitely. I think we just need to continuously, from the things I've seen, I've talked with Mayor Kehoe about it, about the facility aspect of it, around the different parks, and constantly maintaining those at a high level, not just certain ones, but maintaining all of them on a consistent basis so that the entire city looks appropriate as it should throughout the entire city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. That's District 2. Next.
Next, we have Councilmember Jay Cox, your one nominee. my page went away. Do we have the name? Oh, Brian Morgan. Nope, not Brian Morgan. Sorry. Charles.
It's Mr. Kensig.
Charles Kenzie.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Name is Chuck Kensig. I live at 150 Bayou Bend, Groveland. And my background, I'll give you a little bit of that. I have worked in the park and rec field for over 30 years. I'm a registered landscape architect in the state of Ohio. I have a number of projects that I've submitted to the council as part of my resume. I'm open for questions if you have any.
Questions?
Yes.
Speak into the mic, please.
Haven't I been speaking? Mr. Kensig, you, of course, have a lot of experience, but there's a question that I would like to ask you. Once the council has recommendations that reflect the diverse needs of the city, how would you go about helping to include underserved groups, enhancing the parks and recreation activities to diverse groups and the underserved?
Having served on the RAC committee for the last 6 years, when I first started here, there was no recreation staff. Those were hired here, and I believe in the last couple years. They never had a basketball league. They never had really a baseball league. And all of those things have just started here or are starting in the last couple years. So relative to how do you bring, those groups into, quote, the system of the city, the recreation department is actually doing that right now. And how would you improve that? I think the staff here is doing a good job of that. They have 2 individuals, one in, I guess I'll call it a marketing position, and the other more with Steve, who is doing the actual programming of it. So they're getting the message out to the city, through the websites and everything. So I think they're doing an excellent job. Mike Walker and his staff, you guys are lucky to have them, is what I'll tell you.
But if you could bring one thing, understand they are doing a great job, okay? But there's always area for improvement. So I guess what I'm asking is, what would be your take? Say, for example, if you could bring one thing to the city to increase the diversity needs of the underserved and all constituents, what would that one thing be?
I guess you're referring to the programming aspect of, what is available in the programming. There's a couple sides to the recreation department, and one is, in my opinion, the land acquisition and having the facilities available, and the next part of that is once you have the facilities, then you do the programming. So fortunately, the city has just recently, within the last couple of years, been able to finish Lake David Park, finish Cherry Lake Park, and we're working on several of the other parks right now. And Mike is in the preparation of those South Lake Regional Park, which is going to be a big impact on the city recreation department. I don't know if I have one thing that is going to bring more people in, other than the idea that the programming is going to be there to allow the individuals to come into the city. And I think that's the important thing. I mean, if the program is available to the city, myself and a couple of the council members I know helped with the first basketball league that we had here. And that was, what, two years ago now, I think? Something like that. Where we started, that was the first basketball league that's ever been done in the city, in the history of the city. So those are types of things that, the kids will get involved in if they have the opportunity and if the programming is there. And I believe at this point in time, the programming is there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much, Charles. Appreciate it.
For the non-resident, we have Linda Cowles.
Good evening, Mayor Keough and City Council members. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Linda Cowles, resident at 5727 Whisper Pine Drive, Leesburg, Florida.
That's Dr. Cowles, right?
Doctor.
Dr. Cowles. Okay. Just so we get it for the record correctly.
It's not necessary, but I am here today. As you know, I applied again for another term on the Recreation Advisory Committee, and I believe that I bring to the table a deep commitment to community engagement, strategic planning, and inclusive programming. Through my work in the city of Groveland for the past 4 years, including my leadership at the Elise Tomlin Empowerment Center, I've spent years working directly with families, youth, seniors, and community partners to strengthen the quality of life and expand access to essential programs and services. And this experience has given me a practical understanding of how recreation, wellness, and community services intersect. Parks and recreations, as you know, are vital to a healthy, thriving community, and they provide safe spaces for physical activity, youth development, senior engagement, mental health wellness, and family connections. Beyond leisure, they are tools for equality, bringing people together across generations and backgrounds while promoting health and safety and civic pride. And I believe recreation and community services should be accessible, intentional, and reflective of the needs of our residents. And if appointed, I will continue to serve with integrity and collaboration and solutions oriented with a mindset to bring that to Groveland, offering insight, advocacy, as you all know, and support to ensure Groveland's parks and recreation programs remain vibrant, inclusive, and impactful. So I would appreciate your consideration of my reappointment.
Thank you. With questions? Yes. Get to the mic, please.
Dr. Cowles,
Yes, ma'am.
what are, let's say, the top 2 biggest challenges that you believe that face our city's recreation programs, and how would you go about approaching to resolve them?
2 of the biggest challenges that I believe that face the recreation programs. One is having appropriate activities such as what we have at Cherry Lake Park available for the low-income community. And in proximity, I know we have the Lake David Park, but putting that in proximity to their environment so that they can readily take part in those enhanced programs. Secondly is to bring the community together, businesses and healthcare agencies, to be able to have more health fairs to make people aware of what's available for them in the city of Groveland.
And for those that perhaps may not have been to Cherry Lake Park, you say bring those programs to the underserved. Can you give an example of what some of those are?
Some of the programs,
that are
when
Cherry
they're
Lake.
moved, such as when we moved the Easter egg activity, a lot of families have expressed the lack of transportation to that area. So keeping it in proximity sometimes, and I know things, you want to change up and have it here and there. So making that transportation available somehow that those community members can also take part. That was just feedback from community members during some certain events.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Mr. Brian Morgan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. Brian Morgan. I actually serve at Vision Church in the community. I moved here 5 years ago to plant a church here in Groveland. And I currently live outside of the city in Claremont, where my daughters attend schools, but I'm in Groveland every day, obviously. And so a little bit about me, I have a master's degree in organizational leadership. My BA is in human service administration. I've launched and had a mental health conference here in the city. And I do chaplaincy in all the Lake County South District schools. I work for vocational rehabilitation as a rehabilitation counselor. And I work with all students with IEPs and 504 plans throughout Lake County. And so I'm a product of Park and Recreation stuff. So I'm a little young guy from Detroit. And Parks and Recreation was a daily part of my life. After school programming, before school programming, weekends, summer camp, you know, all of those things. So when I moved here, I wanted to get my girls involved, even where I'm locally living at right now, and even for our church to see what was set up. And long story short, I didn't see a lot. And so that intrigued me. So I wanted to get settled in, and this is year 5, and I'm settled. And so I'm glad to be settled, but bringing things like strategic planning and community engagement into the city is really key. Our church is very diverse, multi-generational, and so I get a lot of opportunity to meet with families with various different economic issues and different things that they're trying to see happen. And so I got a good idea, you know, from my community, from the local schools and from families that we work in throughout chaplaincy with football programs and things of that nature, to see where there are some areas and opportunities. And a lot of it just aligns with my own personal experiences. And so when I seen the opportunity, I said, man, you got to apply. And so I'm actually glad to be here and to see you all. I know it's not my first time and definitely won't be my last, but I'm on a mission to get more involved, obviously not just in the church community and outside in our local communities, but here with City Council as well.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Morgan, how would you ensure that the recommendations or the wills of the council would be, how would you help implement these for the citizens of Groveland, but more particularly the underserved?
Yeah, so, you know, first and foremost, I believe being a thinker is most important, you know, for me. And so when you're getting, not necessarily, I won't say rules, but policies handed down, being able to look at how it's going to fit, to be able to assimilate the information to individuals. A lot of times what I've discovered is people don't even know what they're hearing or what they're not seeing. And so making them aware, being able to provide in-depth understanding, and then helping them see themselves in, you know, what's being passed and what's going to happen, what opportunities are there. The other thing that I'll say is vitally important is helping them understand that the conversations that someone like myself get every single week, Wednesday nights I'm hearing, and Sundays, and calls at schools and things of that nature, helping them understand that this is the platform, the opportunities to be able to come in and learn and grow. And so by breaking it down, in my opinion, making sure they understand, especially when you start talking about surveying undersized people and people who are not really understanding. Sometimes it's just where they're at, their comprehension, to be honest. So helping them see what's going on and then getting them involved, creating opportunities, creating transportation services, creating ways to bring the services in that can help them get where they may not be able to go. One of the things that I've learned from working with the VR is a lot of people don't have transportation. They don't have the means to travel around, but there's so many resources out that assist with it, and most people don't know they're eligible just by free insurance and for you know, there's so many services available, but you need people that can connect the dots. That's my background professionally, that's my background in ministry, and that would definitely be the background, being a connector between City Council and the board and then to the community, helping them understand that it's not a us versus them type of mentality, but it's a team-based approach.
Okay, thank you. And one non-rec question, where is your church located?
We're right up the street, actually, 7432, where Integrity Christian Academy is. Our church is there every Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, I think we could start probably with District 2. I would nominate Henry Dean as the District 2 nominee, and I would nominate Kelly Miles as the at-large nominee.
It's an appointment, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the representative from District 2 gets to appoint their representative, but the at-larges need a consensus.
You're not nominating, you're just appointing. Okay.
So I will appoint Henry Dean as the District 2, and then do I still need to nominate or no for Kelly Miles to be the at-large?
At-large, you have to nominate.
And then I'll nominate Kelly Miles to be the at-large.
Okay. Mr. Jaycox, you are making an appointment?
Nominate my one, which would be Charles Kanzager.
Suspense was killing us.
It's killing us.
Okay, so we have 3 candidates for at-large for 2 positions?
No.
We've got Kelly, we've got Linda, and we've got Brian.
Linda and Brian are for the non-resident.
And 1 at-large. Okay.
That would be Kelly Miles.
So we have to take them one by one, or we can just approve the slate, right?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So the District 2 made their nominee, the District 4 made their nominee. There was a nominee for a resident at large. And now the only vacancy or not, what is not nominated is the non-resident member. And you have 2 remaining applicants for the 1 position.
So we have 2 nominations already in, Linda and Brian. And so we'll take a motion to accept, or should we just?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there's no great definitive way or science to do this. What I'm hearing is a consensus with the remainder. Maybe you can take that as a motion and then have a separate motion for the non-resident at large.
Let's take a consensus for the resident.
Yes, that's Kelly Miles. It's the only option.
The only one.
Yeah. I mean, I like her. Anyway, she's got 7 kids, so she gets my vote.
Okay, consensus?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead
What are
and
we consenting? Can you repeat the names one more time?
Kelly Miles will be the
Large resident.
We have 2 for the non-resident, Linda Cowles and Brian Morgan, that we have to select 1 from. And the best way to do that is, I'd make a nomination as somebody just to go ahead and.
I would move to nominate Dr. Linda Cowles for the non-resident at-large position.
I also would do the same.
So you're second, so we'll go ahead and take the vote.
Councilmember Shalkowski, how do you vote?
Aye. Linda?
Councilmember Jaycox?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines? And Mayor Kia?
Aye.
Went from a consensus to a
Congratulations, thank
motion,
you
that's
all.
why.
And if you didn't get appointed, please stay involved. We've got plenty of things to do in this city, and we need all the help we can get. So please, don't be discouraged. Let's just see me afterwards, okay? Because we've got a lot to do.
I have a quick question. When, on planning and zoning, we did the alternate, did that create just a lot of havoc, or was that? I have a smile and I have a no, not at all. So which one was it?
I'd say it was helpful by being an alternate. Michael
Because then he
Archer at
just
the
went
time,
and filled in an open slot.
he had attended several P&Z meetings beforehand. He had training. He understood the role and responsibility, what it meant to be on the board. And it was nice, just in case we couldn't meet quorum, to have someone who could slide into a voting spot and I think he's, transitioned well. Any kind of confusion is that he is taken an existing term, which is actually expiring, so just after serving in maybe 2 to 3 meetings as a voting member, he's back up for
Replaced me, I
vote
think.
since he replaced someone's older term, so.
Could I just comment? I mean, these are specific nominations, right? Each one of the
This one
districts
doesn't
has to
work
be
quite the
represented,
same.
and if somebody left and somebody from another district couldn't go in and do that, so it's a little bit different than P and Z, because there's equal representation from the districts on RAC, and then we have the at-large, so I think it's probably not feasible without really messing things up and getting things off balance. So definitely we'll keep the name if something comes up within the at-large non-resident. We know we've got a name that we can go to, but as far as the other ones that you and the rest of the council would appoint for that vacancy. Does that make sense?
The chef doesn't want to be Santa for Christmas this year. He wants to serve coal.
All right. Okay, so on to new business. Old business has been moved or removed. We're on to 4, correct me if I'm wrong, under new business, consideration of approval, resolution 2025-82, approving the termination of the incentive agreement with Kroger Company of Ohio.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, of course, everybody's heard by now likely the unfortunate news that we heard just last month about the closure of the Kroger facility here that was just a few years young. There are 2 separate items related to this. Both were in a joint operations, so we are keeping them separate. The first is Kroger, and the second being Ocado. They're 2 separate economic agreements, therefore there has to be 2 separate readings and 2 separate termination agreements. Just a little background and history related to the Kroger. This was passed and approved by City Council back in July of 2019. The project site is in our Ford Commerce Park at 7925 American Way, Groveland, Florida. It is incorporated into the city limits. The incentives were related to both construction and operations, and I'll get into that in the next slide. Kroger was required to create and maintain a minimum of 350 jobs with an average annual payroll of $14 million for the entire 15-year term. Failure of Kroger to maintain substantial operations at the project site constitutes a material breach in the agreement. In other words, there is a clawback mechanism. The Kroger facility closure announced November 17th in 2025, again, just about a month ago. And the number of employees, unfortunately, terminated, 943, so pretty substantial. The repayment in the agreement, it provides for a repayment by Kroger to the city in the event of Kroger's default. The proposed termination agreement requires Kroger to repay the city with interest right now by January 30th, 2026, so next month, the end of next month in January. Repayment total is $1,460,233.49, and that's made up of impact fee, building permit fee, job growth incentive, and ad valorem rebate. All added together equals that amount. Staff recommendation at this time is motion to approve Resolution 2025-82, authorizing the city manager to execute their termination agreement on behalf of the city council.
Thank you for that detail. Do we know, just for information, how many of those 943 employees were Groveland? In Groveland residents?
How many actually live in Groveland? I don't have that exact number, but that's something we would be happy to research and provide in short term.
Yeah, I think it would be good for the public, our public, to understand. And Career Source, who's helping them through that, will have that number, and maybe we can get that. So, because I get asked that quite a bit. I'm sure everybody gets asked that quite a bit. So with that, can I have a motion to accept the resolution 2025-82 approving the termination of the incentive agreement with Kroger Company of Ohio?
Motion to approve Resolution 2025-82.
Second that motion.
We have a first and second. Any discussion, further discussion?
Yes, have we informed Kroger that the council was voting on this?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, we did have a conversation within days after the announcement was made. Kroger was quick to get on the call with us, not only in terms of going over the termination agreement, but then also talking about job placement, job fairs, training, and working with LEAD, our economic development consultants in the area, of trying to create opportunities. They've been nothing but easy to work with at this point. Ocado is the next item. We have not had direct conversations with Ocado yet. The first meeting with them is scheduled for tomorrow. But Kroger is well and aware.
Okay, one last question. Should we be referring to the section, chapter, and item number of the clawback clause in this ordinance as per this section of the contract here?
I defer to the city attorney on that.
It's not necessary. The terms of the agreement are spelled out. Ocado, in our discussions with them, acknowledged that they would enter into the termination agreement with the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a statement. Whoever wrote that clawback agreement was great. I wish all of our clawback agreements were like that, not phased in, but a true clawback agreement. And whoever did that, I don't know who did it, but it should be complimented. Did you write that? It was very, very well done. Very well done. Protect the city very, very well. Okay, seeing no further discussion, any public comment? Seeing no public comment.
All right, Councilmember Shalkowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaycox?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
And Mayor Keough?
Aye. Passed. Consideration for approval, Resolution 2025-83, approving termination of incentive agreement with Okada Solutions USA, Inc.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Again, same project, same project site located at 7925 American Way, Groveland, Florida, in our Ford Commerce Park. The incentives provided development incentives for the investment of $70 million for robotics technology in Kroger Fulfillment Center. So there's the Kroger building, and there's all the technology, all the robotics that are within it that were provided by Ocado. That's the reason why there's a separate agreement with that. Requires Ocado to create and maintain a minimum of 60 jobs with an average annual payroll of $9.6 million for the entire 15-year term. Again, much like the Kroger agreement, failure of Ocado to maintain substantial operations at the project site constitutes a material breach. Kroger facility, again, the closure was announced November 17th. Number of employees, again, 943. And we'll make sure that we get those numbers in terms of how many actually resided in Groveland. The repayment provides for repayment by Ocado to the city in the event of Ocado's default. The proposed termination agreement requires Ocado to repay the city with interest by January 30th, 2026, the same date we provided for Kroger. Repayment total of $802,917.10. That's for job growth incentive and ad valorem. In case you're wondering why building permit fees or impact fees are not included, that was all handled by Kroger when they built the facility. Ocado wasn't a part of that. They were just a part of including the machinery for inside the building. Staff recommendation is a motion to approve Resolution 2025-83, authorizing the city manager to execute the termination agreement on behalf of the city council.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept 2025-83, approving the termination of the incentive agreement with Okada Solutions USA?
Move to approve Resolution 2025-83.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing
Yeah,
no public.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I just wanted to make clear on the record that while I appreciate the council approving the termination agreement, Ocado is still having some discussion about sustaining their operations. They've been very cooperative, just as Tim mentioned, as is Kroger. And another point for the record, Kroger's already paid the county back, so we don't anticipate any problems. But even if you approve it, we're going to be continuing conversations with Ocado until we actually determine they're in total breach.
Well, now that you've said that, let me just add, in your negotiations, according to the Journal, Kroger just gave Okada $355 million to get out of their contract with them. So
I saw that.
Okay. All right. Further discussion? Seeing none. Let's take the roll.
Councilmember Shalkowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Jaycox.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines.
Aye.
And Mayor Keo.
So passed. Consideration of approval, ordinance 2025-26, Bright Hill, Phase 2, annexation, first reading.
An ordinance is extending and increasing the corporate limits of the city of Groveland, county of Lake, state of Florida, pursuant to the voluntary annexation provisions of section 171.044 Florida statutes, annexing 147.47 plus minus acres of real property not embraced within the present limits of the city of Groveland, providing for findings, providing a legal description and a map, directing the city manager to record certified copies of this ordinance after approval with the clerk of the circuit court, the county manager of Lake County, and the secretary of the state of Florida, providing for conflicts and severability, providing for Scrivener's errors, and setting an effective date.
Thank you. We have a presentation.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Alex Stringfellow is here on behalf of Eisenhower Group, the property owner for these few parcels that we'll be taking action on tonight. Just before he gets started, he has a long presentation, but there's a lot of good information in there, and I just want to provide the fact that this is one of the highest magnitude projects that have come to the city during my term here. Again, it's north of the Turnpike, west of State Road 19. We've asked the applicant to present their grand master plan for the area. Again, you're just looking at these few parcels in terms of making decisions and having a vote tonight on the future land use, the annexation, and the rezoning of these properties. It is going to the village category, and I thought it was important for you to know that this is consistent with the joint planning agreement that has been approved by both the city and the county. So with that said, Mr. Stringfellow, you have a presentation for us.
And just to be clear, Mr. Maslow, all the next three are this presentation, right? We're not going to do one for each one. This is going to encompass all three?
It is three separate actions, three separate votes for the annexation, the future land use and zoning, but we're going to present everything to you just so you have a clear understanding of big picture, what's the plan for this whole area.
Thank you.
Am I able to control the, do you mind if I? Good evening, Mayor, council members, Alex Stringfellow, 2400 Maitland Center Parkway, Maitland, Florida. Thank you for having me out here. And again, as Tim mentioned, we've been working on this project for several years now. The application before you tonight is a small percentage of that application, but we felt it would benefit the council to get a presentation on the master plan for the overall, everything that we're planning, that's been planned, and how we want to come to the city as partners with their long list of goals that have been identified either through the comp plan, the code, or the strategic plan that you guys met on previously. See if I can reach. Oh, I got it. Might just take a second to react. Overview, again, we're north of the Turnpike, west of State Road 19. It's 2,100 gross acres. The property's under single ownership. That's Eisenhower Property Group, and they have their representative here tonight. It's a mixture of zoning and land use, and it represents for the city the only opportunity for a full Turnpike interchange. Right now, adjacent to the property, there's a southbound exit off of the Turnpike that then connects to 27, but there's no northbound interchange there. So that's one of the opportunities we're going to explore with the city. We'll try one more time. In our conversations with the city, really, we're going to talk about 7 items that have been asked us many different times in different ways. So I'm going to go through each of those items, what we're asked to do, and how we're achieving this with the master plan. The city has studied the residential densities across the city and has calculated how much development is coming. We're a part of those existing entitlements, so I'm going to present today how we have a strategy to reduce our overall residential density based on what's out there today. The city also has a goal of walkable neighborhoods, access to those parks and recreation spaces you guys were talking about before. So we'll show how we've designed this community to be walkable to parks, commercial uses, shopping and dining, and nature. Agriculture and conservation is very important to the city. We've heard that. We know that that's part of the strategic plan. We'll show you how I've integrated that and strung that throughout the neighborhood to create a cohesive design. And of course, education being paramount in the city. There's some examples that the city has had success on Cherry Lake Park along Wilson Lake Parkway and other areas. So we've incorporated what the city has learned over these last few years and incorporated schools and education into our master plan. More public parks was asked for, and we'll show how we are adding more public parks, more community parks throughout our community. More commercial uses, so the shopping, dining, and daily needs, that getting those proximate to residents of Groveland. And then improved infrastructure, so traffic, parks, facilities, and uses for citizens within the city of Groveland. What that laundry list of asks is really to me is we're designing a complete community that covers all the bases. We need access to nature and food, and we need to have education central. The master plan is shown in the background. It really consists of a network of neighborhoods surrounding a future downtown area, really the uptown of Groveland, connected by an interchange, a full turnpike interchange to the south, and then a new connection or an improved connection taking O'Brien Road, improving that and connecting over to State Road 19. I'll get into more details about the design as well. So next slide, please. So we'll go point by point, reducing density. Existing entitlements today, as they sit, if you were to do the math, our ownership, Eisenhower Property Group's ownership is 5,543 residential units and a lot of commercial entitlements in there as well. What we're proposing, the full master plan, is almost half of that density, even with this annexation, land use and zoning change, so 2,961 residential units and a mixture of unit types in there. Next slide, please. The subject parcel we're talking about today, or parcels, is shown in the white text. It says county. It's kind of an L-shaped parcel. The surrounding areas is already annexed, zoned, and within the city of Groveland and has existing entitlements and density intensities tied to those. So again, by annexing this piece of property, we have the ability to connect and interconnect these neighborhoods that are going to be built anyways, and also to look at this as a comprehensive master plan community, which was asked of us by the city. Next slide, please. So when we talk about residential neighborhoods, walkable neighborhoods, really we arrange those around the central core, and we put open space throughout them. And when people take their daily walks, they're not always walking to shopping and dining, but they are always taking their dogs for a walk, looking to get outside, looking to exercise. So we arrange those around the busy areas, and we interconnect them. There's a lot of small parks throughout this entire development, and I'll go into more details there. But it's a mixture of housing types, and it's housing types arranged in a rational manner. Next slide. So agriculture, conservation, and open space. Next slide, please. We know that there's an agricultural identity here in Groveland. There's vineyards and there's plant nurseries. So we've decided to nest a vineyard use in the northern section of the property in between two of our neighborhoods for 29 acres of agriculture, and it'll be surrounded by about 70 acres of conservation land. So not only is it an agricultural use, but it'll be surrounded by nature and preserved lands and wildlife, and that'll be accessible to the residents of Groveland. Next slide, please. When we talk about conservation lands, this is the adopted map in the city of Groveland's open space master plan. We're looking to enhance that and increase the amount of conservation land. Go ahead. Next slide. We're looking to conserve about 600 acres. It's actually roughly 640 acres for conservation. It's outlined in that dark green line there. So again, a lot of beautiful views in this community, a lot of lots that back up and view nature, commercial uses that view nature, and again, maintaining that wildlife throughout there. Next slide, please. Then when we look at open space, the lighter green color shown on the map, we have over 500 acres of open space, and those open spaces are programmed pretty heavily. We have a track record of developing in city of Groveland. So each of those small 1, 2, and 3 acre parks have those recreation capabilities. So we're talking about 500 acres of open space, over 600 acres of conservation land. And really, when you do the calculations per code and comp plan, about 60% of the site is dedicated to open space. Next slide, please. Schools and education. Next slide. The purple color shown in the center, again, the neighborhood string around that central community. The purple right there is about 20 acres, 18 to 20 acre school site, which is about the same size as what's on Wilson Lake Parkway. And we're earmarking that for a school. So again, we want that at the center of the community. We want it as walkable as possible. We want it adjacent to the commercial. We want it adjacent to the conservation, adjacent to the parks, and integrating that education literally at the center of the community. Next slide, please. So parks and recreation. The city has put together a parks and recreation master plan, and they are trying to achieve a distribution of parks, large community parks, and small ones. And again, this is not our map that we created. This is the city's adopted or approved master plan map. And they show in that green asterisk, roughly in our holding, 1 community park in this area. Go ahead. So we've located that again at the center of the community, right next to the school. Right next to that red is a downtown commercial tract, and the light brown is multifamily, so you're more attainable type housing. So again, you're putting all those walkable uses at the center. There's education, there's recreation, and the RAC committee can decide, what they want to put there, what types of ball fields, what types of programming, and that'll be based on study, but that will be the city's park to develop and bring that type of activity there. And again, that energizes the commercial. Of course, that's good community building, bringing people together, but again, it's all around this idea of a sense of community and connectivity. Next slide. This is the neighborhood park. So these are smaller parks that are intended to be really in a short quarter or half mile of all residents. So the master plan identified 6 or 7 parks within our development area as part of the master plan. Go to the next slide. And then it talked about the types of uses they'd like to see in those parks. So greenway trails, very high priority. The red markings are, high priority, green is low. Dog parks, walking paths, outdoor community pool, performing arts, et cetera, et cetera. So we've looked at that in our consideration of how we allocate our open space. You can go to next. And the types of services and programs they want to see in those open spaces. So here we have just a quick example of some of our parks that we put throughout the entire community. And this is just 6 small examples. We have dozens of parks throughout this community, but we want to show the level of finish and design that we're putting in each of these parks. And again, these are HOA owned and maintained parks, so these are not a burden on the city of Groveland. These are privately maintained but publicly accessible. So you're getting that benefit of open space, of recreation, of quality of life without the cost of running and operating a public park. You can go to the next slide. This is our phase 1, which is an approved construction plan. On the left-hand side is kind of a blown up detail of the level of programming. And just in phase 1, there's 5 parks right there that are shown. And these have gazebos, event lawns, pools, tree preservation areas, walking trails. So all these things that were listed again in the master plan, we're checking those boxes within each phase across this entire community, in addition to bringing that community park and school at the center of the overall Bright Hill master plan. Trails, of course, are important. This is the Trails Master Plan. They've shown roughly that the trail should connect through what is the alignment of O'Brien, and then through this solid green line throughout our community and running north. You can go to the next slide. And we anticipate closer to about 6 miles, which is almost double what was shown on the screen previously of on-road trails, so along O'Brien and some of the spine roads that'll serve the community, and about 4 miles of off-road trails. And that excludes all the paths that we just talked about. So there's additional paths, again, in each of those open spaces. All those little parks that we showed that are throughout the entire community, we can't even really calculate how many miles of those there will be, but there'll be a trail network, roughly 10 miles throughout the community. So next slide. Improved infrastructure. So addressing that concern. Again, as I mentioned before, we've highlighted on the screen what a full interchange connection could look like at the Turnpike. Our client is the property owner on the north side, so has the ability to work with the city and the DOT to come to an agreement on that design for what a full interchange could be. On the top right-hand side of the screen is a similar alternative that we prefer and staff agrees. And that's been implemented in Montverde, so not too far east of here. It's kind of a roundabout configuration, and ultimately it means that you can head north or south, east or west on the Turnpike or on O'Brien as you enter or exit Groveland. So we would need the city not only to move forward with this annexation, land use and zoning, but we are also here as partners with the city to move forward with our conversations with FDOT, with the city, to start having these conversations of how we achieve this type of interchange. Again, that's it blown up closer. We will be improving the intersection of O'Brien and 19. The DOT controls 19, so they decide the ultimate outcome of that. But again, that will be a requirement, of course, for our development as it phases in. You can go to the next slide. And we'll also be establishing a typical 4-lane condition on O'Brien, connecting ultimately from the Turnpike interchange exit over to 19. So again, this standard has been reviewed by city staff and is being implemented. The city now has control of O'Brien, which right now is a substandard roadway, and we'll be working very closely with the city to bring that up to a high level of service roadway. And then commercial uses. Again, back to the core where everything happens. We have our multifamily, of course, we have our school site, we have our community park with recreation uses, and then those red areas, we're looking to bring not only kind of a traditional Main Street type commercial, but other types of uses as well. So we'll have a walkable kind of village Main Street on the east side so that the activity in the park supports that more urbanist type development, so those two feed each other. On the west side, we're looking at more of a retail kind of experience, so your shopping, your daily needs there to the west. And then all the way to the west, we have a unique piece of property against the Turnpike that we're targeting a campus type use, so a commercial campus and employment center. Because of the frontage on the Turnpike, because of the visibility that's attractive for both the signage and the presence to a lot of different corporate users, so we are targeting that type of employment center at this location. And that's a zoom in of what that might look like and the type of uses and construction we're targeting in that area. And then the uptown. So this uptown is really just residential, again, is paramount in being close to schools. You want these schools walkable for children. So we did, north of this walkable downtown, we did include multifamily and townhomes in this area as a way to service the needs of the future community and being able to get students to school. So you can go to the next slide. You can keep going through here. These are the phasings. You can continue. This is how it's expected to come online, and we'll talk a little bit more about a development schedule just to give you guys more information on what's coming. This is a really large project, and we're modeling this for both a financial perspective and to be transparent with the city as we work together as partners to bring this to fruition. This takes not only us developing and master planning and engineering this site, but it also takes us working with the city to bring services online, utilities online, agreeing on road designs and realignments and so forth over these next, this next decade or more. So we put this development schedule together for that, as well as running a fiscal analysis so the city knows what the income and financial impact is on their city over time. So you can go through this. Again, we're anticipating, I'll show on the right-hand screen, you can kind of go through it fairly quickly, Tim. The build out as we run from the southeast side up north, then west, and back down. Yep, perfect. And this is how the build-out is anticipated to occur. There is some commercial in phase one, about 4 acres. There is a commercial parcel along 19 that's closer to about 20 acres that we're interested in bringing forward. That's not part of the application today, but really we're looking to develop that east side. And as we're developing that east side, we're working with the city on bringing utility capacity up and developing the west side down into the Main Street area. You can go forward. So that development schedule was modeled by PFM, which is a economic development financial analyst. And really the bottom line of their running that scenario out, looking at the revenues, looking at the expenditures, it's a net fiscal impact of about $2.2 million to the city at build-out or at stabilization of ad valorem taxes. That doesn't really account for the way that the financial structure in the development world of Florida works is impact fees were created as a bridge between ad valorem stabilization and that income. So in addition to the 2.2 million net fiscal impact, there's roughly $60 million in impact fees that will be paid to the city over the life of this project. So that will be one of the ways that the city is able to plan for their continued and additional services as this community builds out. So you can go to the next slide. And again, this slide was really tailored around what we've heard about the master plan, what we've heard Groveland wants to see. And again, we're talking about 147 acres, not all 2,100. But we think it's good to be proactive, have that conversation with the city, lay our cards on the table, and we're really, if you don't mind going into the next slide, we're looking to move forward in a partnership capacity with the city. We would like to move forward, obviously, with the annexation of these county lands, get it zoned, get the land use that is paramount to us, figuring out the infrastructure out there, and really for our business model. And of course, all the review that comes with that afterwards. We do want action from the city council to give approval or authorize us moving forward with the city to talk to the Turnpike Authority, to the DOT. And soon we will be working on a development agreement, drafting that up in concert with the city for not only the overall development, but how we get this Turnpike effort to come to fruition. So I know that's a lot more than you typically hear on an annexation hearing, in a rezoning. You might just see a color on a map changing from green to orange, but we wanted to give you guys a lot of context, of course, be available for questions and provide really the overall vision that we have for the community. So I appreciate the time and, of course, available for answering questions, or we can defer till after public comment, whatever the board prefers.
Okay, we'll open it for discussion. Amy Jo, do you have a...
How are you going to open this project up to the whole public of Groveland and not just the community that you're building?
So because there's no gates or restricted access proposed in really any of the phases at this point, how it functionally occurs is there will be open spaces maintained by the HOA, and it won't be marketed as come, use our parks, but they won't be restricted from adjacent neighborhoods utilizing some of that open space. Now, what will be access controlled is the amenity building, so there'll be keys to those types of facilities. But really, they'll be designed to serve the people that live walkable and close, but there's nothing that precludes individuals that are visiting from utilizing those parks and open spaces. And there'll be no signage of, you're not welcome here or anything like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers that question. See, professional space. I didn't see any professional space.
Well, yeah, I guess when I'm saying commercial, it's office, retail, commercial. We've lumped it in there. I think we've accounted for about 500,000 square foot. So we are intending to have professional space, hotel. We just put commercial into kind of one bucket. So we didn't pull that out. I think it might be in that red. I'm not trying to test your vision, but it says com/OFF/retail, so commercial, office, and retail. But we kind of lump the overall into that bucket. But we are looking to do, of course, the employment center adjacent to the Turnpike is intended to be an office-type use. And of course, we'll be targeting that in the kind of walkable downtown area as well.
This development is in an area that there's absolutely no medical in that area. So you're going to have to prioritize putting medical in there.
We are targeting that use. I did have a meeting with Aaron Bottenhorn, who represents Orlando Health on their acquisitions, or at least forward planning for land, and they are prepared to do additions to the facility to the west in Leesburg. They own about 60 acres there. What they are waiting on to do an expansion there is a certain threshold of private insurers, and we anticipate to attract a lot of private insurers here. So we're going to target medical office in the downtown area and uptown area that we're developing, and it's likely that our development will allow for it to be feasible for expansion to the west over there in Leesburg. So duly noted, but we do anticipate attracting that type of use.
Okay, are you bringing water and sewer with this project?
These will all be served by city water and sewer. Right now, we're working through the capacity study with staff. We have capacity for phase one. And the east side, really kind of east of the wetland line, so what says PUD zoning county, and then phase one, we're looking to establish capacity there, and then we'll be working with the city as they increase their capacity to reserve that as well. So we'll be, yeah.
They're working with the city. What do you exactly mean by that? Is the city going to finance a water plant for you, or are you going to finance a water plant and we'll take it over later?
So we will provide payments via prepayments of impact fees, and the city, what they do with that and how they finance their plant. The city will finance their plant, is our understanding. We're, of course, open to talk about what types of options there are out there, but typically, for example, there'll be $60 million in impact fees paid to the city for this project. I think last estimates of the plant are around $120 million, and we're not taking all $120 million of that plant expansion, for example, but we will be paying an impact fee to the city for water and sewer, and they will utilize that as part of their financial modeling for when they bring the plant online, how much they bring online. Of course, they will need to get impact fee revenues from other sources, but we'll also be a $2.2 million contributor annually ad valorem, which will help the underwriting of that plant. So what we will do is we will extend lines. We won't build plants. That's kind of the city's business, but we will be working on the underground infrastructure and connecting these, and then the plant will be looking to assist the city in terms of giving them clarity on what we're building, when we're going to build it, our impact fee payments, and for example, we're getting ready to prepay before we even sell a single house a portion of the impact fees on phase one. So it's really money up front that the city gets throughout this process as we roll through subsequent phases. So did that answer your question?
Somewhat. In your discussions with the city, how much water capacity does the city have for you? Does it have enough water capacity for phase one and phase two?
I don't think we know, at least our side doesn't know. We believe that the city has phase one capacity. We are still waiting for final reports back from the city on what is left over for phase two and phase three. We have reason to believe that they do, but of course they have to do their due diligence and make sure that they do, and we're prepared to prepay to own that capacity when the city's ready.
The roads and the sidewalk setup, how much space are you having between the sidewalk and the start of the roads?
In terms of the setback, it varies on the product type. So I'll kind of say two things. First, we have about 4 or 5 different residential street widths in between the houses, and they are bigger when they're next to more dense product to allow for on-street parking, clear of the vehicular movement zones. And then when we get outside of that, because I wasn't sure if you're maybe referring to on-street parking indirectly, but the setbacks from the back of curb and some of the smaller products are down to 5 feet, and they range up to around 25 or 30. So it depends on lot size, the type. So there's a big variation on what setbacks are required, and then a commercial has a larger setback than that. So does Does that get to what
Are you
your
going to be
question is?
following the city's
Yes.
right-of-way requirements as far as trees and everything like that?
Absolutely. We're requesting no variances from the code at this point.
Was there any question about maybe doing a center median and put all the trees in the median instead of on the sidewalks and stuff?
We have a couple median streets proposed here when they make sense, when people don't need to make a left-hand turn. We have one on Phase 1 as the main entry road. So we do consider that where it makes sense, putting it there. And then we also look at tree spacing and space between curb and sidewalk too for canopy trees to have space to grow. So we consider that in our designs.
Okay, thank you. I got one question for Tim. Do you have the ability to supply water for Phase 1 and 2?
Phase 1 we have. Phase 2, we're still waiting on utilities to ensure that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll stay here.
I just had some questions for our staff. We received a letter from Lake County that raised some concerns about the annexation. Some of it, the first part that I read was mainly about the designation from rural to village, but then looking at the response, it looks like the county had voted for the JPA that listed this as a village. Is that correct, or?
Correct, yeah. This annexation, future land use, and zoning amendment is consistent with the joint planning agreement that both the city and the county approved earlier this year.
And then, so would we be, I'm guessing, we're going to send them a response of this is what we found and?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, under manager's report later, I was going to ask for consensus, but you're more than welcome to discuss that now because I feel obliged that we should respond to the county's concerns. So I would ask that you authorize me to draft something and then have the mayor sign it on behalf of the city.
And then the other item was stormwater, and it looked like flooding. I don't know if the applicant wants to speak to that, or?
And just one other item on the county land use. It is a mixture of rural, but it also has regional office on the site, which is a mixed-use future land use. So it is true that there is some rural on there, but the regional office does allow for things like multifamily and commercial and fairly intensive uses. So for clarification of the record.
Evening. My name is Christina Baxter. I'm with Pape Dawson, and I'm a civil engineer on the team. Address 2602 East Livingston Street, Orlando, Florida. With respect to the comment from Lake County regarding the drainage and floodplain concerns, so as we take this project through the design, engineering, and permitting process, we will have to address 3 different elements and comply with city code, St. Johns River Water Management District, and also there's some FEMA regulations that we will make sure we're in compliance with. So those 3 elements that we'll deal with through that process are water quality. So there's rules and regulations where we have to address water quality for the project. So anything we do on site that's new development, we have to meet those new rules. We also have to deal with water quantity. So we have to make sure we understand the inflow of drainage to the site and also make sure that we don't discharge any more after we developed than what was going beyond our site before we developed. So we can't exceed the pre-development condition, if you will, when we talk about water quantity. And then also when it comes to floodplain, if we propose to impact any of the floodplain on the property, we have to provide an equal volume somewhere else on the site before it leaves. So we have to do a cup for cup compensating storage, we call it. So we won't provide any impact to the floodplain with the development.
Just a few questions. First, just for the record, how far are you from the new Advent Hospital and the Orlando Hospital? Isn't this right in between the 2 hospitals, smack dab? Yep. Okay. you're going to partner with FDOT on the turnpike. Are you saying you're going to pay for that? You're going to pay for that exchange?
What we're looking for today is to have the city has to technically be the applicant for the interchange. So we're really just requesting, as either a separate action item, it could also be the second reading for the city council to authorize staff to go forward and start the conversation with DOT, and then we can talk about how it's funded. Of course, we anticipate being a partner in that. When's it happening? What it has to look like. So we don't know enough to tell you the financing of it today, but we do need to move forward with showing them this concept design with staff as a partner, a willing partner, and an authorized partner.
The I don't know if you've gotten with TJ on this, but there's a whole new formula, and you're going to pay up front for getting consideration if this whole new formula goes through. So you might want to get with TJ on any construction. If you want it moved up, you got to pay, to get it moved up. There's a whole different structure to that than there was, 6 months ago. So please get with TJ on that. He's very knowledgeable about that whole new structure.
We will.
When is the, well, let me just ask you, it's a great financial picture, but I didn't see what's the impact to the city on phase 1, phase 2, phase 3? I saw the overall, which was $2 million, okay?
Yep.
But is that, do we have a curve on when we start getting the 2 million and when it, you
We do have
understand what
that.
I'm saying?
Yeah, we do have that. I'd have to pull up the PFM report, but it stabilizes around year 10 at 2.2 million. Ad valorem stabilizes around there, but it's a net positive throughout, especially if you account for impact fees. The impact fees, there might be one operating year that's negative, shows an investment by the city, let's say, of $300,000 in the report, but it's a net positive from year 5 on, or break even before that, because the city's going to have to invest in staffing, building things, so forth. That
Well, we won't ever, I don't think, ever put impact fees into the operational budget, right? And
No, you
13,000 of 15,000 goes to wastewater, so that's not a lot left for operations. So I'd love to see that, how they came up with that, because I've seen some of their other work.
We do plan to, we can present at the next hearing with the full report, and we can have more slides in that. Since you guys have seen the land use, if it would benefit you, we could focus at the next meeting on just doing the financial analysis.
I don't
For the
know, I
benefit?
mean, if everybody wants, they can sign up because it's kind of dry, but maybe you can get with Tim and see if we can route it to whoever wants to see that. It
Absolutely.
would be great. One other retail, the 4 acres of retail, what retail is going on the 4 acres in phase 1?
You can see it behind you. It's at the entryway across from Blue Springs Reserve, and that will be a pad-ready retail site when the completion of phase 1 is done. So we'll have a pad ready and be looking for retailers or commercial uses in that.
Hey, this is going to be deja vu for you, right?
Seeing it.
The retail, according to our original plan for this kind of thing, needs to be what will keep people off the roads from that area. It's not going to be a toy store. It's going to have to be something for food and things, because the whole village concept was to have what they could have, they need right away to keep them off 19, right? So I hope that you're hearing me on that, and that we have that retail kind of really taking care of those people there, and even Blue Springs across the street, to
Yep.
keep them from coming all the way down 19 to go to Publix,
Absolutely.
When are the trails when are the trails going to be available to the public?
They'll be completed with each phase. So as I finish trails for phase 1 will be completed, and then phase 2. So they're kind of tied to the infrastructure of those.
Yeah, but if I was going to go out at a coming up huddle and say there'll be 500 acres of open space with this, and it's really attractive, and we're going to have this many trails with phase 1, how many trails would that be? The 4 miles and
I would say, keeping it pretty general, at the completion of Phase 1, there will be a nice set of trails in just Phase 1 that you could enjoy. I mean, unless you're a marathon runner or an Ironman runner that I don't know about, but you would have enough to experience the trails around there. We've done similar things on some of our other communities as well. So you can enjoy the trails as soon as Phase 1.
Hey, Tim, maybe you can help me out with that at a later time, get that, what that whole impact will be. And then my last thing is, I can't tell you how grateful I am for this plan. And I'm grateful for one reason. How many entitled houses do we have? 23,000?
Over 50, well, citywide.
Citywide.
Close to 23,000.
23,000. You just took 2,400 off the table, right?
Yes.
So we just took 10% of the entitlements off the table. That is huge. When you multiply it times 3.01 residents, 1.5 cars on 19. And I know who's holding the pocketbook over there. And yeah, yeah. But I've got to tell you, it is the right direction, and you guys are great for sacrificing 2,000 homes in order to fit our strategic plan. And that's a partnership that I'll cherish, and I hope the rest of this council cherishes too as we move forward, because 10% off is huge.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, open for public comment. No public comment, wow. So we have three items to have a motion on. Bright Hill will be item 6, consideration of approval for ordinance 2025-26, Bright Hill Phase 2 annexation, first reading.
Already read it, okay.
Okay, motion?
Motion to approve item 2025-26.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none. Sierra?
Councilmember Jay Cox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Shalkowski.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gates.
Aye.
Mayor Kia.
Aye. Consideration of approval, ordinance 2025-27, Bright Hill Phase 2, large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, first reading. Motion?
Move to approve ordinance 2025-27.
You'll need to read the ordinance title before you take the vote.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Lake County, Florida, amending the City of Groveland's comprehensive plan pursuant to 163.3184 Florida statutes by amending the future land use plan designation from Lake County Regional Office and Lake County Rural to City of Groveland Village of the future land use map for the herein described properties consisting of 147.47 plus minus acres, portions of which are located in the Yalaha Lake Apopka Rural Protection Area, authorizing the city manager to amend said comprehensive plan, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability and scrivener's errors, providing for an effective date, and providing for the forwarding of this ordinance to the state of Florida Department of Economic Opportunity.
Thank you. Can we have a motion, please?
Move to approve ordinance 2025-27.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, let's take the vote.
Councilmember Shalkowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Jay Cox.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gates. Aye. Mayor Kia.
Passed. So consideration of approval, ordinance 2025-28, Bright Hill Phase 2 rezoning, first reading.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, to change the zoning from Lake County Agriculture to Lake County Planned Commercial to City of Groveland Village Core, Village Center, and Village Edge for the herein described properties owned by EPG Sunstone Holdings, LLC, and located west of State Road 19, east, north, and south of O'Brien Road, directing the city manager to amend the zoning map as herein provided after the passage of this ordinance, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. We have a motion, please.
Motion to accept or to approve ordinance 2025-28.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none. Any public comment? No. Okay.
Councilmember Carroll, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Jay Cox?
Aye.
Councilmember Shalkowski?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
And Mayor Keo.
Aye. So passed. Thank you. That concludes new business. Public comment.
Susan Ducey?
Mr. Mayor, council members,
State your name, please, and address.
Susan Ducey, 139 Harvest Gate Boulevard, Groveland, Florida. I'd like to thank the City Council for hearing our concerns, opposing the Palisades issue, and to thank the City Manager for his email informing us that the Palisades has pulled the matter from this meeting. We, those of us who have spoken against the Palisades development, that the City Manager would notify the recent Palisades lot split and return it to the parent lot before December 26, 2025, and notify us of the action he took. If the manager does not nullify the minor lot split by December 26, 2025, as per your Community Development Code, page 9, section 1.1H2, we are asking for the City Council to add the minor lot split to their January 5th, 2025 council meeting agenda, and then vote to nullify the minor lot split that the manager approved this past October. We, the people who spoke against it, believe that our statements were accurate at your December 1st, 2025 council meeting regarding the non-conforming code applying to Palisades' abandoned structure. The future land use map was voted on and approved 8/24/2020, and the Palisades subject structure and this 0.68 acre lot are subject to and shown as conservation. We would like to hear from the city manager and the city attorney on what they now think about the non-conforming applying to that structure and the future land use map and conservation as it applies to the Palisades structure and the lot in question. And also, I think that December 1st, 2025 meeting is a clear example of why there is an appearance of a conflict of interest with the Palisades attorney. And that should be a clear sign to the council that something needs to change regarding your ethics policy. Also, I'd like to ask a question, Mr. Mayor, if that would be all right.
You can ask, but we won't answer.
We would like to know this evening an answer to these questions.
We don't have that because we will have to bring it back on an agenda. We can't vote or discuss it because we have to put it out as public notice so everybody can come for that discussion. That's the way our charter works, and we'll abide by that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Alan.
Perfect timing, too. 5 minutes on the nose.
Alan Joyce.
Alan Joyce, my address is protected. I would like to thank the City Council for hearing our concerns opposing the Palisades issue. And I would like to thank the city manager for his email and for informing us that the Palisades was pulled from tonight's meeting. I ask that the recent Palisades minor lot split be nullified, and I request a written response from the city attorney and the city manager to the non-conforming and future land use map as it applies to the Palisades issue now. I think, as was stated earlier, the December 1st, 2025 meeting is a clear example of why there is an appearance of a conflict of interest with the Palisades attorney. To help avoid those issues and a lot of other issues that have seemed to be happening with documentation that's coming to the council, and even myself trying to track what's going to the council. Just the other day, I seen an update packet to the council, to an update packet to the council, and there are 1,000-something pages, and that can't be adequately assessed in 3 days of the council members. So a recommendation from myself to the council is, could the council consider to fund a compliance position to the city attorney's contract that she can hire? This position would report to and be controlled by the city attorney. This position would be just for Groveland matters, to review all items coming to the council for legal compliance with the charter, legal compliance with Florida statute, legal compliance with city ordinances, regulations, timelines, findings, and legal risk. This position would maintain a detailed log of items that they reviewed, issues that they found, and corrective actions that they take. Savings and avoided legal processes that cost the city, so that you can see if this is working or not. The city attorney would then provide a monthly summary report to the council, showing the monthly and cumulative savings compared to the cost of the position. I believe that this would be a great benefit to the city and to the council. After hearing at the last meeting that maps are not voted on and crayon mistakes happen, and as a result of the future land use map and your comp plan not having conservation followed per state law and city ordinances, I have reviewed every location on the future land map to see if conservation is being followed. I am happy to report that after my thorough review, it's just mine, searching the entire city on the future land use map, I only found 2 lots in the entire city that shows as conservation, but development is most likely soon to be done. Just 2 lots. Lot number 1 is alt key 3957857. Lot 2 is alt key 1812461. Both locations, in addition to being conservation on your future land use map, also shows as wetlands in your comp plan voted on. Both locations were purchased after the city and the state approved your future land use map. Even though they show as conservation and wetland in your comp plan, city administration informed me this morning that they show as town and town center in their system. Both locations have recently been brush cleared, started, and have a large development sign posted out front. Both properties were bought 1 year after your conservation on your future land use map was voted on. And both of those properties, bought 1 year after, are owned by John Jones. Guess who his son is? The new signs stated out front, 4 foot by 8 foot, say Jones Brothers Development Company. Right on Highway 50, right next to the 7-Eleven on the east side of it. And it shows as conservation on the map that the city uses administrative and on the future land use map. Alan Booker called me on the way to this meeting tonight and said after further review, they think there might be an issue with it having conservation tied to it. A little bit too late, but I like Alan Booker. But anyways, I think this is an issue that needs to be looked into by the city and would love to have some responses on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to leave this with the city clerk.
Thank you. And just to be clear, we have a policy that and is working very well. Everybody that gets up and we don't answer, the city manager assigns somebody to follow up with you individually and get the answers that you are requesting. So please know that.
No further public comment.
No further public comment. We'll go on to council member reports. Amy
All
Jo.
right, I'm gonna go first tonight. Cool. All right, so there were events and stuff, but I kind of want to come back to the last meeting and everything that's happened since. So I'm deeply concerned with how the Palisades lot split rezoning was handled. On 2 separate occasions, residents brought forward substantive issues that were dismissed, and council was assured those concerns were unfounded. In both instances, those assurances proved to be incorrect, requiring the city to later reverse course. This is a troubling pattern. It raises serious questions about the diligence and transparency of the information being provided to council. We cannot make quality decisions if we're not given quality information. Moving forward, I'm requesting accountability for how this occurred, including an explanation of where the process failed and what corrective measures will be implemented. I'd like to get a consensus on that, if we can get that information.
Yes.
What measures will be implemented to ensure the council receives complete, accurate information before decisions are made? I ran for council because I genuinely care about our city, the decisions that shape its future, and serving in this role requires thoughtful, informed decision-making and is only possible when the information provided is clear, accurate, and reasonably accessible. Like many elected officials, I balance my service on council with full-time work and family responsibilities. To effectively fulfill my duties, I need materials that are organized, summarized, and presented in a way that allows for thorough review within the time constraints we face. Without this, it becomes increasingly difficult to ensure decisions are made with the level of care and understanding that our residents deserve. In short, as of late, if I could get the audiobook version, I may be able to make it through the information while I'm driving and putting kids to bed. Otherwise, it's become an increase in volume and information, and the quality has decreased. So there's 2 issues at play here. Both are struggles we need to address and overcome in order for our city to move successfully forward. We've had, like I said, both times in this instance, the residents brought forth the concerns before the meeting. So I was flabbergasted to get the email that said, oop, we were wrong, which I get, we all make mistakes, but when it was brought forth before the meeting, it should have been looked into also before the meeting. And that's all. Wow, okay, Barbara.
I attended many activities that the other council people will talk about, so I'd rather use my time with 2 things. Number 1, the office space. Can you tell me where we are with the office space? And if we're not anywhere, can we get somewhere by December 31st? Who wants to handle that question?
I think you have to ask for consent.
No,
Find an office space
no, we already, yeah.
at the workshop.
So can you tell me where we are with that office space? Because like I told you, Mike, what is that place over there? Butcher's Block gets expensive.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, and I apologize if I didn't understand. Are you asking for a dedicated, accessible office space just for council members?
1 office space would be better than 0. I'm asking for 1 dedicated office. Yes, I know the argument, not argument, but yes, been downstairs and where personnel is. Been there, done that. And it just depends on what day you go, how loud it may or may not be. Yes, I am asking that the city council be given 1 dedicated office so that we can schedule accordingly to meet with people. And I thought that I made that clear, and we got a consensus a while ago, right? Well, but we did, this is not the first time it's been brought up.
It's not the
So I
first
want to
time.
know where we are with that.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, as I think I stated, I'm not aware of a time when I've ever not been able to accommodate a request from a council member to provide an office. It may be a different office. It could be a briefing room. It could be a conference room at one of several facilities. Sometimes people have used my office. Some people have used Ashley's office. But no, I have not looked into a dedicated, accessible office space for just the council. I can do so and give you a report by whatever date you give me.
May I get a consensus on that then?
Yes, and Barbara, I remember you asking for that.
Pardon me?
I remember you asking for the office space.
Yes, I did. So, okay, so if we can get an answer back, because it's been a few weeks, so if we can get an answer by like the 31st of December, or an update, I would appreciate it. Second thing I want to talk about is I have some questions regarding professional office building space. I'd like to raise concerns about a professional office building project. Let me be clear, there is a need for professional office buildings here in the city. But I found out through a non-city source, and it just raised some important questions that I have about the process and communication. So when it's all said and done, Sierra, I will give you my business shorthand scratched out notes, okay, for the record. I know these cannot be answered right now, but I would like to know at what point the decision was made to move forward with this project. I also want to know if we can be walked through the timeline of approvals. And I ask because the understanding the timeline helps us see where council input was expected and/or missing. I'd like to know why council was not informed before the deal was finalized. What communication protocols are in place between economic development and council, and are they being followed? I don't know. See, transparency is not just about being public, but it's also keeping the council in the loop. And when I found out, I felt a little out the loop, but maybe that's just me. So we must be accountable, and it's not just technicalities. We are your champions. We are the city's champions. And not catching up until after the fact is so unacceptable. So I think that we need to improve transparency for collaboration decisions rather than present it after the fact. My intention is not to slow down progress, but my intention is to strengthen the trust. We, council, want to be your partners in the things that happen here and not an afterthought. So in closing, let me just say that I think I can speak for everyone on the council that we look forward to working together for clear communications going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jaycox?
First off, I would like to thank Gregory, Susan, and Alan for their dedicated research in informing the council of the actual condition of the Palisades property. And I'd like to also read into the record Michael Hines' email to them. Gregory, Susan, Michael, and Alan, I apologize. We screwed up. In response to your concerns, I directed the staff to do a thorough analysis of the subject property as outlined in your email below. The points you've raised about the classification of the subject property is correct. The property is indeed designated as conservation under the city's future use plan. When the subject property was annexed into the city, it was not assigned a future land use or zoning. However, the city initiated a citywide amendment to our future land uses. The property was designated as conservation. As you know, the item will continue for now, but we are evaluating all the elements and the process of the application and determine the appropriate next step. In my opinion, the application and proposal are based on flawed premises. I will keep you appraised of our findings and thank you for your dedication, stewardship, and engagement. And again, apologies. And I'd like to add that to you as well, our apologies for not getting to this sooner. I'd like to address something to the city attorney. I think there's going to be, it needs to have some kind of clarification. Brett Jones stood up at the podium and spoke to the council and gave information to the council that the council used for a determination. I think somebody should have stopped us and said, Brett Jones works for the applicant. He doesn't work for the city. He's not to advise the council on things. Brett Jones' answer was to one of the questions was that was a mistake, or it was a crayon, or somebody was on the computer and put the wrong color of something on there, and that was grossly misstated. And that should never have come to the council. I turned to one of my other representatives here, and we looked at each other, and we asked, we had to do something. We had to zone it somehow. It was already zoned. We didn't have to do anything. That the first time it came to us, we should have just let it drop. No one wanted to bring any motion to it, but every piece of advice we got was wrong. And like Amy said, that can't happen again. So somehow we have to put in some guardrails so that doesn't happen again. To Alan's other point tonight, I've already sent a letter to the city manager, Mike Hines, to investigate those other properties that are listed as conservation on our map, and it was reported by the zoning and the zoning board that they were something other than conservation. Let's see. Now I have a personal gripe. This was given to me for this meeting tonight, and this was given to me for this meeting tonight, and this was given to me for this meeting tonight. And I got this all on Thursday. How is anybody supposed to read this and comprehend this and give intelligent questions to the people coming up, or intelligent answers, or an adequate vote? This was too much information. We need to knock this down. We can never have this much information brought to the council in one meeting. It was just overwhelming. Please recycle this. In between the last meeting, we had a lot of things going on. We had the Tallahassee trip. I love buses. That was a great bus ride, 4 hours there and 4 hours back. That was very nice. The meetings that I attended seemed like they were listening to us and they were engaged with us, our representatives in Tallahassee, and I certainly hope it brings fruit. We had the tree lighting. I was a part of the tree lighting, and I loved the big switch that we had. It would have been nice if someone told us we had to switch it. And then we had the Christmas parade. The Christmas parade was very, very fun. I loved handing out the candy to all the children and going down the road and throwing the candy out, and I'm glad I didn't have to sign a waiver about that. Let's see. I also would like to get some type of executive summary and a rationale for all the items that come on the agenda. I don't think it's beneficial to us if you just say zoning and planning voted on this and unanimously we recommend your approval. Why? You have to give us a rationale. You know, based on these items, based on our plan, this is the rationale, this is why we want to move forward. And the executive summary would be key points. To sit there and say, hey, look on this page, look on this page, look at this. This is a key point. This is important to this item, and stuff as that. And that'll be the end of my report. Thank you very much for listening.
You.
I just wanted to align myself with Amy Jo's comments, because I know she and I made motions and seconds based on info at the last meeting. So the things that she had said in her prepared remarks, I agree with. For this past week, I just want to thank the staff for staffing us at all of the parades, and Ashley yesterday when we were in Trilogy judging. It's been a great few days right before Christmas.
Thank you, Steve. Mine will be brief. Just I might ask for a consensus, though. On the items when we say staff approved, can we have whoever is the accountable person on there, rather than staff, like the director or whoever that we would go back to if something happens, that we can go back to that particular person on staff approved, because it's hard to figure out who's approving when it says all staff. I'm concerned about the fines that we levied on Palisades. Based on, I know we had issues with the needing to be cleaned up. That's one thing. But then we started tabling things till we got things right. And then we were tabling things under a pretense that was different than it turned out. And I don't think that we should, I hope we consider as a council how we will make that right, because we shouldn't profit on fines for a mistake that we might have made. Do you understand what I'm saying? As the fines that were levied. So I think it needs to come back before council how we're going to handle those fines, because you know, I agree that there were some with that they should have demolished stuff, but then they were waiting on us on several times that we tabled things, and the fines kept going. So, Mike, do you think we could get back at your Thursday meeting or something and say, how would we handle that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I will have a preliminary possibly by Thursdays. Remember, we're in a workshop this Thursday. So I don't know if I have a definitive. I believe I have a conference call scheduled either tomorrow or Wednesday with the attorney to discuss in totality the situation, and I'll add the fines and note your concerns about
Maybe just make us a note, you know, so we know that we're on that. It would be great. I know that our distinguished citizens back there went through and did all this research and have given us more research, but I think we need to do an internal research to figure out if there's anything else that we need to be concerned about, and so we can bring it to the next, it needs to be at the next meeting. Is that possible? Because it's a pretty hot topic, right? I will also ask for consensus from all of you to ask the city attorney or city manager to bring forth to us at the next workshop a brief outline of where we are in a city hall finding, whether we don't have any, whether we do. I know we have a recommendation from staff, but I think with our new members and stuff, and with our leases going out in 2030, and this is 2026, we may not be able to be ready with anything by then, but we sure need to have a plan in effect, and I think we all need to understand what that route is that we're going for City Hall, because when we get kicked out of this building over here, and we got to have somewhere to go, right? Is that a possibility that you could just give us a brief outline at the workshop?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, when you say next workshop, this Thursday, or?
Well, sure, you know it by heart. Come on, Mike. You know where we stand. We talk about it all the time. I just want everybody to be on the same page. Is that okay? Tallahassee trip, I agree with Mr. Jaycox, and I really appreciate the staff following up. Tim, you've got things going in the right direction, and Mike, thanks for getting those clarification letters out from staff back to them, and hopefully, yes, we will have some great things, and I hope you can pass on from council to Chris Carmody and his group. Had an outstanding job once again getting this in front of the right people. It really shows that that's money well spent. You know, sometimes we say, wow, it's a lobbyist, but boy, you know, what we get done at these things is outstanding, and we really appreciate it. And that's, other than the parade, the lighting ceremony, and tomorrow, remember, we've got the Hanukkah, the menorah lighting, so please look forward to seeing you all there. And I'll turn it over now to the city manager report.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, earlier this evening, reference was made to a letter you all received from County Commission in regard to the annexation and rezoning of the Bright Hill property. They had two specific concerns. One was based on the land use and the other was based on floodplain management. If I could get a consensus to draft a response and have the mayor sign it on behalf of the city to go to the chair of the county commission.
We have consensus?
Yes.
We have consensus. Is that it? Oh, wow. Madam Attorney?
Yes, thank you. I have one item tonight. I think you've had discussions with Mr. Hine about this. This is PFAS litigation that's been ongoing. It was a settlement that was reached by 3M and DuPont. It was a class action lawsuit out of Louisiana in the district court there. I was contacted by a local government attorney who is working with attorneys in Louisiana who are admitted into that bar and are able to practice there. They have offered their services to the city and all local jurisdictions who would like to make a claim to the settlement funds. So the obligation would be on them to come, and they would conduct testing of the city's wells, determine if there's PFAS and what levels, and then we do not have to prove any causation that it was DuPont or 3M. If there's PFAS, then based on your flows and how much, that would determine how much of the settlement funds you're entitled to. The attorneys that will be handling it, if you want to go in that direction, will pay for the testing. If you recover money, then they get repaid for that out of your settlement funds, and they receive 33% of whatever the settlement amount is and costs. If there's no PFAS and you recover nothing, then they eat those costs, and you are not obligated to pay any attorney's fees or costs. We are on a tight time frame because we have to submit the claim by January, and we have to get the testing done in advance of that. So I was looking for consensus in either direction. If you want me to move forward with these attorneys to make a claim for these funds on the city's behalf, or if you do not wish to pursue it.
Well, I'll ask for that consensus, but I think our public needs to know what's in the water.
I feel like we have an obligation to the public that if our
Yeah.
water's contaminated, that we should know about it.
Yeah. So could we get consensus to move forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, please.
That's all I have.
That's it. Okay. That's the end of business for today. Thank you all for joining us, and appreciate your input. Thank you.